Here we go now. 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 Here we go now.
Welcome back, folks, to day 2 of PMPL South Asia Qualifiers. I'm going to be host Ankit, and again, joining alongside me is going to be Blotter. And what a day it was yesterday. Savage Esports started days things with the chicken and ended day with a chicken. And today it is going to be all eyes set up on them because the schedule repeats with the same thing.
Absolutely, Ankit. And again, as you so perfectly mentioned, talking about Savage Esports from yesterday's gameplay, they definitely was ferocious, but today is going to be the middle ground. The battleground is going to be chiming in along with different sorts of aggression altogether.
Yeah.
Because we did talk about this yesterday as well, right? Yesterday was the first day for all the teams in the lobby to be going up against each other and trying to look at different strats as to what the other teams are doing. But now, after having played the 5 games from yesterday, today they know exactly what to anticipate from their opponent sides, and that is where things are going to get that much more awesome for us and of course the viewers as well.
Definitely. You talked about the games that are being played. Definitely. But for the viewers that have recently tuned in, the top 8 in all these 16 teams will be moving on across to the upcoming PMPL. So everything is on the stake. I mean, be it be you at the top or at the 8th position, all the 8, they will be aggressing forward. But let's talk about other teams that were not in the top 8 itself, but certain teams that did make a comeback. I'm talking about 2 RGR. At 16th position, they were there after the end of game 3, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And I don't really know how did they pull it off, but by the end of the day, they were in the top 5, in the top 6. But for the moment, let's head toward the point structure. Pretty much the same that you have been witnessing and seeing throughout the course of 2-3 years. The first to get 15 points total, second gets 12, and that's the placement point. But all important, the elimination point 1, and you remember 26 finishes. That means 26 total points were just granted. They took it as granted. Everyone was just underwater, and all the 4 fishermen from Savage Esports made it look so easy for them.
Definitely did, and by the end of the day, of course, they were able to reclaim that same Erangel gameplay for themselves with a very humble 6 elimination chicken dinner for themselves. But along with that, as we talk about the teams, let's go on across and get introduced to all these 16 teams that are going to be playing. And right off the bat, we're going to be talking about 7C Esports. Now, along with this, we also do have Seal9 right here, S9 Esports. Now, S9 is sitting on the 16th spot as of now, and Monkey. No idea what is going wrong with the side of S9, but hopefully today will be the determining day that this team has been waiting for.
Definitely. You talk about Seal9, we also need to talk about the Gangsters, blah blah blah, under the lights of Ayush, Gangster, Mr. Smokey. This is not the team, these are not the players that are in this competitive scene for the very first time. They have been really grinding hard for last couple of years, last couple of months has been not in a good patch, but they have to make it show, because after today's gameplay end, I guess that's the last 5 matches and you just cannot rely upon to them, but all eyes set upon Savage Esports. You talk about Ligro, Sancher, everyone just looking too good. Hershey's was also pretty much phenomenal playing it from their side, but Kings of BED, some Bangladeshi team needs to just step up. Talk about TRZ Esports. They started their game really pretty nice. Top 3 was there when they ended the third game, but they really slipped by when the game just progressed.
Absolutely. On the other side, we are talking about that comeback story that was showcased from the side of 2RGR, the Nepali team joining us. And indeed, in doing so, as you perfectly mentioned, after third game, they were on the 16th spot. And after the 5 games done, they were in the top 8. So a wonderful recovery being showcased from the side of this team. But will it be enough is what we'll have to see, as we are talking about 2RGR. There we have them on the 6th spot with 5 games played, 41 points. But along with that, you look at Savage Esports, DRS, they are in a league of their own with 82 and 74 respective points to those two teams with 2 chicken dinners each.
Definitely. 2 chicken dinners each for Savage Esports and DRS Gaming, just grabbing the top slots. But again, after that, there is a big jump. There is a big difference between DRS Gaming total points and what ElementriX stands for. That completely shows what sort of dominance 1 and 2 has done. But we need to take a look after 8, and that is going to be from 9 to 16, the second half of the chart, completely showing why they are here. 7C Esports, not the first time that we are seeing them struggling this hard. But anyways, they have to make it go, because again and again, it's just the 15 total games. 1/3 has already been reduced, has already been done in yesterday's gameplay. Now just the 10 matches, and for that we are here for the next 5 best games, and they have to just do it for themselves. Not a lot of point difference between 7C Esports and Venom. I guess just the 2 points, because at 35
True.
Venom stood and 7C just the 33. So not only 7C, Kings of BD 33, XBROTHERS 31, but then again we have a drop with them. But with that being said, let's just head towards the head-to-head. And the team that really performed brilliantly in yesterday's gameplay, a complete Savage performance and dominance exerted by Savage Esports on one side, and challenging them are the challengers DRS Gaming with 6,909 damage, Brawler.
Absolutely, mate, and in doing so, I mean, they do have a more average survival time, but that, of course, as of now, is not helping the cause for the real soldiers, because Savage Esports is just so savage and hungry for those elimination points, and that is where we can clearly see 46 eliminations is what Savage Esports were able to accumulate for themselves in the 5 games played yesterday, compared to 31 for DRS. But again, that was just day number 1. As of now, as we did just look at the storyboard, both these teams are on the top of the totem pole and are looking miraculous, as they have so many points stacked up for themselves, and the team on the 3rd spot, ElementriX, is still a little shy of that mark. So we'll have to see by the end of the day which team amongst these two are going to be pushing on 4th. But alongside that, as we talk about teams, let's also move on, Ankit, and talk about the players head-to-head.
Oh, definitely. We have Hershey from Savage Esports and Yeta. So this is a very different sort of comparison that we have seen in the past. This is something different and really like it. The reason being, one team that has been completely dominating. So now Yeta and their teammates, that is going to be of 2RGR, have something set upon their mind, where we have 2,812 damage dealt by Hershey and their teammates. They stand first and 1,085. Hershey has been best in the lobby in yesterday's gameplay. 19 elimination, 19 knockouts. The conversion rate has been just absolutely phenomenal for them. Average survival time is where Yeta is also pretty much comprehending them. But today it's gonna be the day of comeback for the rest of the lobby.
Absolutely, Ankit. Another thing I do want to add on in this head-to-head is the fact that, you know, you're talking about Hershey's gameplay from 5 games, and I would say from 2RGR, Yetta, I want to count only the final 2 games because those were the 2 games where this team actually came alive. Before that, they were not looking good whatsoever at all. But in the final 2 games, if this is the kind of start that the dude can bring to his team, then hopefully in today's 5 games, we can definitely expect a lot more from the side of this Nepali Gurkha team.
Definitely, 2RGR. It has been Yetta, it has been the rest of the players. 16 minutes, pretty much close to 17 minutes is a decent average survival time we just saw from Yetta, but today has to be the day, not only just for 2RGR, but the team that are in the top 8. So 1, 2 and 3 looks pretty good with 82 total points for Savage and 74 DRS, but rest of the team looks pretty dicey for the moment. We'll just head to the schedule. And pretty much the same starting day off with Erangel, ending day off with Erangel. So 3 Erangel in a day, and the void between these 3 Erangels, obviously the 2 voids between these 3 pillars, be filled by Miramar and Sanhok. Yesterday's Miramar was dominated completely by Whizzes with Vibes until and unless it was Venom Legend, the Nightwing M249 spray. The 150 bullet just pounded everyone out there, and then the Sanhok affair. How can anyone forget how it went in a good way for DRS Gaming itself? DRS Gaming, if you remember in the yesterday's Sanhok gameplay, they were just finding themselves in a position they really didn't taking any fight for the middle game situation, and as soon as every team started coming back to the area of Shami where they were positioned for a long time, it was just their game.
Indeed, dude. Again, I mean, you talk about DRS, the way that Sanhok played out for them was so very good. Before the Sanhok, of course, there was the Erangel game. That also worked out perfectly for the Real Soldiers as they got back-to-back chicken dinners in those 2 games. But before we moved on along from that, we had the Miramar map that we were just talking about, where we did see Venom Legends take a chicken dinner. But not only that, I mean, yes, you were so true in mentioning the final fight, but before that fight took place, Venom Legends actually went up against Savage Esports and were able to completely stop them in the tracks as well. So the domination that was showcased from Savage Esports in the first game of Erangel was completely pincered down thanks to Venom Legends in the second game that was on Miramar. So let's see if that sort of a gameplay can be anticipated from the other teams in the lobby against the likes of Savage Esports. With that, enough banter from our side. Let's move on along with the flight path and get busy with the first game of day number 2.
Definitely. Yesterday's flight path, if you remember, it was twice that the flight flew over exactly military base, and twice it was in yesterday's gameplay, the first and the second Erangel of the day. There's a circle tilted toward military base, but for today, from north to south, completely opposite of what we saw yesterday, shooting range. It was a flight path that completely dictated yesterday. Eastern side, western side is where we are heading towards. That means teams jumping and loving to go towards the area of Georgopol. That reminds me of Seal 9, and this has to be a northwestern circle just to be for the sake of Seal 9, only if they drop towards the area of northern Georgopol.
Well, we'll see what the zone is going to be entitling these teams towards, because again, when it comes down to the zone, it favors nobody. That is something that is always the case in PUBG Mobile. And along with that, as we look at the drops that are being showcased from the side of the teams, we can see towards the Zarki side, it is Kings of BD all by themselves moving on along to get their loot acclimated towards that side. As of now, when it comes down to Seal 9, S9 is nowhere to be seen across the region of Giorgio. So that means they have decided to take a different route. And again, I mean, this is definitely going to be a very comfortable drop for so many of these teams, because we do know that for the side of Savage, they do love to go down towards Yasnaya, but it seems like they will have another team right around the corner in contestation, and that seems to be JyanMaara. But we shall see if that contestation is going to be dropping down against the side of Savage's known drop location of Yasnaya or not. And yep, there seems to be first blood already being brought on down from the side of JyanMaara. And who are they fighting against? It is none other than Savage Esports. First blood has already been confirmed as Savage Esports' Ligro, was it? I am not entirely sure who that was, but he has been eliminated from this lobby.
Oh no. Savage Esports just getting knocked and finished by the players of JyanMaara, and this is something that JyanMaara did in yesterday's gameplay itself, and trying to replicate the same sort of aggression, and that's the reason they are standing way top on this leaderboard. JyanMaara needs to do better in terms of what they have been doing so. at fourth position with 46 total points. Add one more, 47 is already where this stands at, tallying to what with which ElementriX stands at third. So at the end of the day, I'll be having my keen eye set upon at whether JyanMaara will be trespassing ElementriX, or is it ElementriX that will be moving on along to the top two. But one thing is for sure, since Savage is down with one man, that gives a clear indication and opportunity for DRS Gaming to actually excel in this lobby.
Absolutely, that could very well be the case, but we shall see what sort of a rotation are we going to be looking at as far as the zone itself is concerned. For now, of course, we do have Venom Legends very close in proximity to XBROTHERS teams, and that again is going to be very close concern for the side of XBROTHERS, because Venom Legends, again, we've seen yesterday's gameplay from their side, is an aggressive team, and they do not want to back down on this day number 2, because again, I mean, we've only got 10 games remaining, counting this one down. There are 9 games in total that these teams are going to be playing from today onwards towards tomorrow, and from that only top 8 are going to qualify, and that is what the entire journey is about. So today the grind is going to have to be really set in stone for all of these teams, starting off from this first game itself.
But these kind of flight path actually creates a lot of problem for all these players. If you look at that DRS in probably I guess 2 vehicle, every 4 player has just tried to make a move onto the area of Milta, and so has been done by JyanMaara. Now look at this play that JyanMaara is trying to do. On the western side, 2 players still position, and 2 players, I guess, they are still going to the drop location that they have been going to. Then that's going to be of Lipovka. But onto our TV screens, we have Gremlin Storms, the team that loves to go towards the area of Novorupna. But this time, they have chosen, just because the flight path favored them, to jump towards the area of Georgiapol, maybe thinking that they might have some early skirmish with Seal 9. And this is one good thing, if you have that readability capacity, that if some teams are jumping towards the area, they might be seeing them as those potential kills.
That is very well true and possible as well, because that is what we saw JyanMaara do against the players of Savage. But this time around, it was, of course, JyanMaara who were able to get the kill and the elimination point confirmed for themselves as they ran towards the buggy, and that is how that elimination point was confirmed. But on the other side, as we move on towards the school apartments region, it is going to be Venom Legends getting their loot acclimated and sorted, looking pretty comfortable as of now when it comes down to the overall leaderboard. I believe they were on the 8th spot, if I'm not mistaken. So again, a decent play, decent 5 games from their side yesterday. But of course, the journey is going to be how much more can you push yourself to stay in the top 8, because the points are so very close, right? I mean, all the way from the first to the second, they have a league of their own. That's going to be Savage Esports and DRS. But as you move on 4th to ElementriX on the 3rd spot, all the way down to 8th, even 9th or 10th, where we do have the second page teams joining us, they are so very close in terms of the points. So one good game and they can very well really pull all themselves all the way up into the top 8 itself.
Definitely, they can be, certainly. And with that, XBROTHERS trying really hard. Oh no, Fazal just getting stuck here and there, but no worries, he's still moving out in the area. Just trying to go on down south towards the area of Yasnaya Polyana. This is a pretty good compound with XBROTHERS are actually holding, because these sort of circles have real tendency to actually shift toward the same area. But Seal 9 finding themselves, this time it's not the case that we have a circle and military base, and that's the reason we can get to see 1200 meters is what the map indicates us that they need to make a move. I hope Seal 9 Esports will also be paying respect to this 1200 meters. If not, there will be a lot of blues that will be eating them up. Talking about Venom Legends, if you remember yesterday's Miramar, they were looking pretty sublime, but apart from that, they have just been looking off-colored.
True, mate. Very true. I mean, Miramar is where they definitely did come online and showcase that prowess that we know the team for. But on the other games, they were A-okay. Not too good, not too savage. But indeed, I mean, they were playing the first day itself. So first day was all about experimentation from so many of these teams. And today, from first game itself, these teams know exactly what they're up against. And as of now, Venom Legends have a really good split setup against the players of XBROTHERS. They have the information as well. But will there be a fight a contestation between these two, amongst these two compounds across this area, is what we'll have to wait. Just 7 minutes in, so not a lot going on as of now, but we did see Noob's players also take down an opponent and confirm that elimination point for themselves. So thus we've got 2 players who have already been eliminated in the first 7 minutes, 62 players still alive, and it seems like today is going to be a passive approach from so many of these teams.
No, definitely, that has to be the case. The fear of missing out is the one big factor. At the end of the day, you have to be in the top 8, 16 teams battling it out and finding themselves to the best in the region. Let's have a quick look at the map. Centralized position, we can get to see XBROTHERS and Venom Legends finding in a sweet little spot. I'll be just waiting when DRS Gaming would try to make a move. I guess Seal9 don't have any obstruction on their military base bridge, but I can get to see some sort of cluster already building up with ElementriX joining into the fray, NRC already positioned. But I like this sort of rotation. TRZ knowing the fact that there are certain teams that like to jump towards on the side of Gatka and Ferry Pier, so they are just taking that NH on the western side of the map, and out in the blue they will be making a late rotation. I hope that pretty much works for them.
Exactly, a very, very late rotation being showcased from the side of TRZ. But again, like you said, hopefully it works for them, because that is a passive approach that we've seen work for so many other teams as well, where indeed you talk about a late rotation, it works out because all the other teams who are in the zone, they end up battling it out, and the late rotating team ends up having the chance of actually just jumping in with an X factor where the numbers have already dwindled down, and then they can push their luck to get that chicken from the remaining teams. But again, I mean, it can very well go south very, very quickly as they make that rotation. They can be caught off guard, and along with that, talking about rotations being made, it seems like WGNRC have caught on and are going to be eliminating ElementriX's Sus, and that is not good. Sus has just entered the zone, and sadly he is being brought down and sent back from the lobby. Thus remaining are going to be 3 players from the side of ElementriX.
A lot of buggy runovers from yesterday's last match itself and this itself. ElementriX losing 1 player in the very early half of the game. Pachinki is where they stand for the moment. Everyone just looking quite apart from that, but Amar is just not done. He's just not done. He's still hungry for all these bloods. He finished 1 teammate and he's still trying. But now, with that being said, he's now trying to make a move. And if you remember yesterday's gameplay when WGNRC was pretty much close to get a chicken, it was Amar who was looking sublime at that point. And now where ElementriX has gone, they are finding Paradox in their vicinity, and Paradox is not the team that they like to take fight in the early half. They take only if they are being challenged. They have been challenged, but they are pretty much not in a position. So ElementriX also realizing the fact that they have already hounded them with a lot of bullets and they are in open positions. Yes, Church is a good option to hold, but since everyone is jumping towards the area of Yasnap, and it's not only us the casters, but the IGLs of the teams are also working it pretty well. And with that being said, Dante, the head just got blew off. I just saw the helmet getting complete red. 1 tinkling shot onto his head, and Kings of BD again, their rotations are being cut down.
Well, it is the Gangsters who are in control, and blah 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 right here, bringing in some perfect sprays for the inside. But of course, as of now, his elimination point has not been confirmed, but the sprays will keep on hammering down from one team to the next. First it was Kings of BD, next it is Gremlin Storm in his crosshairs, and now it is going to be their question, because after all, it is going to be Ayush who did push on to the players of Gremlin, but indeed he has been brought down to his knees, and it is going to be Badrev who will be confirming that elimination point for himself. An amazing controlled approach from the side of Gremlin Storm, even though they were being sprayed upon from the side of the Gangsters. It is Gremlin Storm who came up on top in this fight, and with that, it is going to be the Gangsters who are going to have to take a back seat in this fight, as they are a 3-man army now, a 4v3 situation, and yep, they've got on absolutely to perfection. They are going to be
they're retreating.
And they are retreating. Exactly. I mean, you called it earlier as well, right? I mean, this is where every single game of the day is going to matter. How you take on the fights, how quickly you realize that the fight is going to be going in your favor or not. And that is something that, of course, the Gangsters realized real quick. And that is how they decided to just retreat out of this situation, thus leaving the compound.
But where our paras are actually hovering for the last 1 minute or so. Whenever they are going, they're just finding any player. Hazer under a huge cover fire from Steel Shot. It's Venom Legends still holding the same area where they were just locking their eyes upon with XBlood. We just saw the Gangsters getting pretty unconscious that someone might just backstab them, and as soon as Gangsters went just pretty haywire like situation, one player was just took down, and Gangsters with the 3 Gangsters left in their players. Paradox are still searching. They are still searching for shelters, and now they find themselves on the east of Rozok. But as soon as they go past the same place, I can guess it's 2 RGR that are spraying themselves up. The circles makes a hard shift and downtown towards the south of Yasnaya Plena. In the Deathsmack Center, we have Liquid and their players that is going to be of ElementriX. DRS on the edge of the circle. We still have that one big mansion on the northern side of the shelter. You can get to see that square that suggests that there is one compound and teams are completely rushing towards them. We can get to see NRC and DRS. Who gets first? That's the question.
Absolutely, and if we look on towards the Saverni side, we can see Seal 9. S9 made a very long rotation towards the west to try and get into the zone, but as soon as they did, the hard shift from the zone has brought on down, and now they're going to have to be on the run once again. And talking about on the run, we do have 2 RGR's players on the run as well, on the edge of the zone as they try and get towards the southern part of this compound. This is going to be where they're going to be hunkering down for the moment. Along with that, it seems like Savage Esports' 3-man army is going to be very close to another team. That is going to be none other than JyanMaara, and JyanMaara are pushing on along with style, with passion. But Snipe YT, does he have an idea as to where Sanshir is? Sanshir is being such a possum right now, and this is where he's going to just completely define his positioning. But sadly, he will be brought down.
That's a blunder, Blorder. That's a blunder. The head was pretty much on the face of it. The crosshair was aligned. And now Savage Esports has to retreat. One wrong peek, one misstep, and there we have it. Not the Savage Esports that looked in the very first game. JyanMaara, I would rather say that's a relief, else Savage Esports could have eaten them all up.
True, I mean, Savage Esports, they were ready, but indeed the numbers advantage working in favor of JyanMaara definitely confirmed the elimination point in this team's favor, and that is where, of course, the team has definitely outshone the competition, and that too, a very humongous competition that is in the name of Savage Esports. I mean, yesterday, they were looking real amazing, but today, it seems like Savage's game has been caught on from the entirety of the lobby, perhaps.
Definitely, Savage Esports. Probably in just these 6 games, we have seen a lot of ups and downs, topsy-turvy game for a journey for Savage Esports. They have to be ready. They have to be almost ready to get a slip, I would rather say, because on the 2nd and 3rd position, both the team DRS and ElementriX are playing it to perfection. Now Seal 9 Esports, they just thought that the circle might make a shift onto the Stolber and those hide, but they were pretty much unfortunate. But like the rotation, the way they have now been holding the position where earlier Gremlin Storms had a big split. Seal 9 Esports on the edge of the circle. Apart from these rotations being cut off, Seal 9 has been doing pretty good for the moment, but these circle shifts, one more will be completely deciding the fate of it. DRS has been out of all these fights. Some shots are being triggered from the sides of 2 RGR. And I talked about DRS. They're still on the edge of the circle. 6 to 7 teams needs to make a hurry rotation into the center of the circle. On the edges, northwest edge is where JyanMaara stands. Northeast edge is where 7C stands, and they have a compound. This has to be their game where they need to at least take at least 10 to 15 points.
So true. Again, I mean, you talk about 7C. Yesterday also, their main strategy was to try and survive for those placement points. As of now, they only have 8 elimination points on that storyboard, but 24 to 25 placement points. So that is just perfect play. But never mind that. Right now, it is XBROTHERS who are in the crosshairs, or rather, in the driving seat of course, Gremlin, where indeed XBROTHERS are being crushed down from that position that they were in. And in doing so, Gremlin Storm have already got 2 of their players down. One final player, Eulai, will be third-partied, and it is going to be the end of Gremlin Storm right here, where we can see in the kill feed it was Liquid who was from the side of ElementriX able to just completely pincer down Gremlin, even though their positioning was bang on, their aggression was so supreme, but XBROTHERS were, well, helped in this situation thanks to ElementriX's third-party approach.
No, definitely, and ElementriX also getting a lot of finish point with the names. Savage Esports being completely thrown out of the lobby thanks to that onslaught that came in from the sides. Seal9 also joining up into the fight. ElementriX trying to pin down the players of Paradox, and Paradox hasn't been looking even a single time where they can be in a position to make a fight. They have been just loitering around here and there, and I don't really know what sort of IGL call has been made. Yesterday, yes, G1 was doing pretty good, in the way that he was trying to make a move and entry for the players and the teams. But today, the very first game, Paradox, it looked like they were just had no answer for the question that were being asked. ElementriX going up against XBROTHERS. And this is going to be a 3v4 affair where the height advantage is certainly favoring ElementriX, but Scene9 Esports, it seems that today Zaki has different ideas. The growth Zai in his hand, making it pay for the Gangsters, and Smokey is the last player standing. With the FPP mode switching in, he knows that someone is in this McLaren, and he finishes things off for the style and for the moment. 2 finish point for Zaki, and Gangsters being thrown out of this match.
Well, Seal9, S9 is definitely showing some comebacks as of now in the first game. Along with that, ElementriX just holding on to that small little ridge that they've been at for quite some time. Very close to them, of course, have been Venom Legends as well as XBROTHERS. But as of now, we shall have to see which of these 3 teams are going to be able to push on away. Because if you look to the mini-map, they're on the edge of the zone as of now. And soon, the zone is going to be moving away from them. So they are going to have to make that rotation, and as they do so, things are going to get that much more trickier for their side, because again, we've got 12 teams remaining. 7C just playing that YOLO game by themselves, no problem whatsoever at all for their side. And as we move on away from those teams towards the side of Paradox, well, they are pincered down. They are in a small little shack, but they are out in the open. There are teams right next to them. That's going to be the name of WGNRC, and it is going to be Ego and Hazer, the 2 players. But along with that, a Venom Legends steel shots, perfect nade coming in against the players of Paradox is going to leave them with just a 1-man squad. As of now, it seems like the revival will be provided, but will it be enough? Because one side is Venom Legends, on the other front is going to be WGNRC. So a very tricky situation is where Paradox find themselves in, and in doing so, the steel shot confirmed nade is going to be brought on again, and well, sadly, Paradox is getting eliminated. I mean, you were so true, dude, when you were talking about Paradox. They were just loitering around, not entirely sure what they were searching for, like a 24/7 shop or something. They were just all across the map, right? A 7-Eleven going on. No idea what was going on in their mind, but sad approach for the first game for their side.
Definitely, they had any single answer for the questions that were being asked by the teams in the lobby, but there we have it. 11 teams and 38 players still alive in this lobby. Just the 20 minutes in the game, and the bloodshed that has been caused by a lot of team. Pretty much a lot of elimination point has been distributed. If you look at that, Venom 3, JyanMaara 3, DRS 2, 3 for ElementriX, Brothers getting 3, Scene9 Esports getting 3. So no one has crossed that 3 mark. Everyone is just standing either on 3 or less than 3, and this is one good sign that a lot of team are surviving with their 4 players alive. But with Venom Legend, the zone going away, on the left hand side is going to be ElementriX, right hand side it's WG and RC. And now Venom Legend, if it's either do or die, they have to make a move in zone. As soon as Kings of BD did, they can still try to approach. Seal9 also trying to gatekeep the situation, but XBROTHERS, they were just trying to make a move out in the open, and today 7Cs is looking a completely different team.
That is so true indeed. I mean, they are taking on fights. They are not moving away from those retaliatory situations and are definitely bringing in those elimination points for themselves. With a 3-man squad, 7C are looking very comfortable with that. Look at this approach from Soulless. What an amazing... What a drive that was, but sadly, it is going to be S9 from the looks of it that will be able to bring Soulless down. Yep, it's going to be Monkey from the side of Seal9 who will be able to pincer them down, and again, in doing so, JyanMaara Soulless has been eliminated, but S9, they are wriggling about with just a 1-man, and that is going to be Monkey who needs to give that revival and get that team in a placement of this zone, but sadly, as I it is going to be the end for S9 indeed. With that, 9 teams remaining, and look at Noob. 5 elimination points already confirmed for their side.
No, definitely 5 for his name, and getting and racked up more for his numbers. One good thing for Venom Legend is that they still have all the 4 players alive and intact. One needs to get himself patched up. The zone has completely shifted away from where DRS Gaming stands for the moment. Void has been spotted down. Gets into the crosshair, gets a complete cover fire on the face of it, and Killer White is the one that pings him successfully down. Now can be the time where the cover fire can be the case. Venom Legends Still surviving the Wrath. They're still holding the edge, but no, the circle completely shifts away and tilts away, goes into the favor of a
7C,
team that
I
is...
No. It's
Noob
Noob.
Alliance it is. It's Noob Alliance.
Wow.
Still 5 finishes and out of the game. Oh no. This is the time where Noob Alliance needs to shine. A lot of team are just trying to make a move into the zone, and they have to just be the one to gatekeep. And just the way Savage Esports put a net into the water yesterday's gameplay, it's the same thing that Noob Alliance needs to do here.
They are doing it to perfection is what I would say. I mean, the way Noob Alliance have been playing in this game, it is really good. On the other side, DRS, I mean, they had been holding that fort for quite a long time and finally now chiming in along to get those elimination points confirmed for their side. On the other front, talking about Venom Legends, they still do have all 4 players surviving, but just like Venom Legends, ElementriX, both of these teams, I mean, we saw them taking on that fight for quite some time outside the edge of the zone, and now the zone has moved away from them, and this is cause for concern for both of these teams because they will be moving away, and as they do, we are going to have to see if they will be allowed to do so or not, because DRS were waiting to take down Venom Legends, but it seems like Rules has been caught out in the open, and it is going to be Rules who will be brought down, but his teammate DRS's Rebel is going to confirm that that retaliation from the side, and definitely going to be pinching down Venom Legends out in the open right here.
Well, definitely. It was Rules along with Rebel that was really looking good. There was already a smoke, and that should have been a preempted cover fire coming into that, but he takes one down. Killer YT runs down Juna YT, but in moment gets traded off. DRS Gaming, Killer YT, the last player still stands and does 1v1 in this situation, completely throwing Venom Legends hope out of the lobby. Smokes need to be pulled down and he needs to get the revival done, but in different sides, 7Cs are now trying to pin down the players of Noob Alliance who are still in the compound, but I don't really know why they are trying to find themselves out of the compound yet. Yes, you need to take all these fights. Elimination points are still the thing that what matters the most. We got to see yesterday what Savage can do, still the thing. But DRS, as soon as this team gets all the 3 players stood up on their feet, they will be again good to go. Noob Alliance, meanwhile, have given revival to all the 4 players, and that's the reason we are getting to see 43%, and that's keep increasing as the second passes. The winner chicken dinner forecast for them.
Absolutely. We've got 3-man army from the side of course, Noob right here. That is going to be Noob Alliance. ElementriX has been eliminated on the 5th spot, thus 4 teams remaining. 3-man army from the side of Noob Alliance, 3-man squad from the side of 7C, 2 players still surviving from the side of DRS. That's going to be Delta and Killer YT being out in the open. So now again, you talk about positioning, right? You look at the minimap, there's a triangle being created amongst these teams, and in doing so, it is going to be Noob Alliance who have the better half of this entire saga. It was Snipe YT, I think, who was the final player from JyanMaara who has been eliminated, thus leaving us with just 3 teams. And once again, talk about the positioning. Noob Alliance have got themselves perfectly set up. I mean, they've got the vehicle wall being created right here along with the smoke walls, and behind is going to be this compound that's going to be helping out. But look onto the zone. Well, the zone is moving away from them. 40 meters is what they're going to have to travel out in the open, and that is where 7C are eagerly waiting. But they are also not too comfortable because they also need to move to get into the zone, and it is going to be DRS's 2 players who as of now are the closest to the zone, but it is all in the open, and this is where things are going to get that much more trickier. And the numbers advantage that Noob Alliance have, this game could very well be theirs. I mean, this day number 2, game number 1, all the teams in the lobby have really done their homework right.
Definitely, and this game can surely belong to Noob Alliance. They just play their cards well, and that's why they are just trying to puncture out all these shots, pop out all these the space, the ground space that can actually be the potential threat for them. DRS Gaming still trying to find it in the edge of the circle. On the left hand side we have 7Cs on front of them. That's a complete squad of Noob Alliance. Smoke has been already popped down. Delta just trying to sneak out the area, but DRS Gaming needs to realize that 7Cs also will be making a push from the left hand side, but through the smoke, a jump grenade onto the face of Noob Alliance. This can be detrimental if this gets connected. I don't really know how many number of grenade Delta has in his pocket, in his bag, because he still has bag on his number, so he can at least have 4 to 5, and since DRS Gaming hasn't been in a lot of fight for the moment, those utilities fight, I guess number can still be to 5 and 6. Smokes are again being used, but in all this situation, you remember there is still one team, 7C's Esports, and through the smoke, Delta gets the knock. Then that's the opening that they were waiting for.
Well, what an amazing control spray that was coming in from the side of Delta. And again, talk about positional awareness. This is just phenomenal
spot
play
on.
being showcased from the side of Delta indeed. And of course, his teammate Kilo IT is in the backlines to be able to give him that cover fire that is required. And look at those nade parades being showcased from Delta. This man is on a mission to bring down the squad of Noob Alliance. And in doing so, they are getting closer and closer to the opponents. But now things are going to be dicey because Delta, after having utilized so much of that utility and that spray, has given away his information, and being out in the open, this is where trouble can be brewing from him. Even though he was able to get that one knock, the revival has been confirmed from the side of Noob, and things are getting trickier and trickier for the side of Noob, but all the teams know exactly where Noob is.
Definitely. Noob Alliance had a real good try over it, but no, Delta brings one more knock again. Second goes down. Noob Alliance on to the verge of getting eliminated. He has been hammering it really hard, but from the left-hand side, 7Cs takes him down. That brings down to a 3v2 affair, where 7Cs really have a very good try. They were completely out of all these fights, and as soon as Noob Alliance and DRS, they just vanquished and they got out of all these grenades and utilities. Now is the time when 7C will be just trying to dominate. We have Akujod, Memo and Precious going down, but one grenade onto the face of it. Jimmy brings the knock. The number again gets fair down. One more down, and Noob Alliance, how many throwable does this guy have?
Well, it seems like the game is almost but over, but because it is going to be Noob Alliance who seem to be in control and aware of exactly where the opponents are. The heads certainly are being shown across towards Akujod, but Akujod being just the one-man army is not going to be able to do much, but we shall see what the case is going to be. Of course, he does know exactly where the players are, and in doing so, he's being very, very quiet. With the UMP in his hand, we do know the UMP meta definitely is a cause for concern, but again, a 1v3 situation, well, indeed, in doing so, Akujod has been able to bring one player down, but of course, that means the opponent will be given the information, and the chicken dinner, of course, goes down towards Noob Alliance. What a dominating play this was from this team, and in doing so, they moved all the way up to the 6th in overall ranking. Total 11 eliminations in this game. 26 points from the first game. So again, day number 2 is off to a brilliant start because we've got different names chiming in onto that storyboard.
Definitely. Before this game, they were on the 13th position, and a big jump, at least 7, and finding themselves at the 6th spot is where they are making a move. DRS Gaming also having a very good game. Savage Esports getting out of it at this very first time. It was looking good for them. And seems like also Lakshay looks pretty smart on this small little couch. But yes, it was a pretty good game for ElementriX itself. NRC, one Sri Lankan team. This was the thing. So I was talking about it from previous days itself. I want some Sri Lankan team to just go all guns blazing. And as soon as they just found themselves out in the open situation, had a very good cover, as Lakshay mentioned. You can just see him sitting on his couch, just relaxing after this nice little game popping up. But that's just the one game of Erangel. You remember, we still have 4 more left for the day. And yes, after couch, he's back again on his chair.
Well, I needed to take a breather, dude. I had to take a breather from that side because, again, you talk about... You were so on point yesterday, right? You had mentioned that you want to be able to see Sri Lankan teams bring themselves back up again, and this is what you were waiting for, and they've delivered. So, I mean, you called for it, and they answer in style with 11 eliminations. I mean, like I said, I had to take a breather from that sort of a play style, but that's just game number 1 done. We've still got 4 games remaining. And again, it's anybody's game. We shall have to see what the lobby is going to be doing. With that, let's move on along. Have a look at the most valuable player coming in from this game.
Definitely, and he's going to be none other than Snipe Whitey. Again from JyanMaara, 5 elimination, 1005 damage done, 1 assist, and just 112 healing done. 23 minutes and 8 seconds of survival time. That's just phenomenal for JyanMaara Esports. So in this game, ElementriX and JyanMaara completely shining everyone out there and just trying to overshadow. But the way, coming back again to the conversation, yesterday it was a day for 2 RGR after game number 3, but wasting no time. this is a real good strategy that we got to see from Noob Alliance from the very first game. As soon as they realized that yes, circle is our, we can just get these covers set up in front of us, we can get to have a chicken served for us. And with that being said, let's move toward the top player for this match. Apart from Snipe Whitey, it was also the game for Delta for DRS, it was also the game for Akku Jord, it was also the game for Memo. That means not only Noob Alliance, it is also a day of comeback for 7 Seas. Now you imagine the amount of competition that has already been set up from 4 to 7 to 8 in yesterday's gameplay. This very first gameplay, since more and more teams that were sitting earlier on the bottom half of the chart have now started delivering, what sort of pressure have already built up on the heads of all these players?
Indeed, mate. As we move on through to the match summary, let's keep the conversation going because, again, I mean, talk about the top teams in this entire lobby, right? We have DRS, we had Savage in the overall ranking, but this game around, Savage was not really delivering the kind of plays and blows that we had seen from them yesterday. But on the other front, it is going to be the real soldiers who are still able to walk away with 19 points from this game. As we move on to the summary, we've got 61 eliminations along with 57 total knockouts and healing. Again, if you look at that healing, right, it's just going down and down. Yesterday, it started off with what, 10,000, 11,000, and now final game it was 7,000. Now it's going down to 6,900. So seems like teams are getting more and more restless to be able to get those elimination points and aggressive stance showcased.
Definitely, but moving on along, we have this match ranking from this match itself, where definitely a Noob Alliance got a lot of finish point with the 15 placement points, makes a total of 26. That's a pretty decent number. 7 Seas Esports, now have a look onto them. 8 finish point, 12 total placement points, total 20, and 7 Seas, where were they before the start of this day? At 10th position. These 30 points, and there was not a lot of difference between what 7 Seas stood for and where Kings of BD ended before the day started at 36th position. This 20 points needs to be replicated at least two times more in today's gameplay, and then they can really feel safe about their position.
Let me add on one more stat right here. So 7C Esports, when the day started off, I did point out that they were working towards the placement points, and in terms of the elimination points, they only had 8 in the 5 games that they played, and 24 or 25 placement points for their side. But this game around, in just one game, they've been able to get 8 elimination points. So we do know that when it comes to 7C's game style and play, they are definitely going to be bringing in a havoc style gameplay for their side. And again, talk about comebacks. We've got S9 also showing signs of recovery from day number 1. Definitely,
they had to. They certainly had to, because their counterparts have been doing pretty well, Savage Esports. But this game just went off guard to them. This reminds me of the yesterday's Sanhok, where they were completely blown off in the game of Sanhok. Paradox also need to have a change in strats, but let's have a look at the overall ranking post match 6, and let's just see what sort of difference there has been created. Already DRS Gaming finding themselves at the top. It just took them 6 matches to claim the spot that they were looking for. Savage Esports follows them next. JyanMaara with 63 follows them at the 3rd position. But in top 8, whom do we have as an entry? We have Noob Alliance as an entry, we have NRC as an entry, and both these teams are from Sri Lanka. I know they are playing it for the first time in this competitive scene where other South Asian players are playing, but they are playing it so professionally well.
They certainly are, but which team do we not see? Well, that is the team that was sitting on the 6th spot, had a comeback story to showcase us on day number 1 in the final 2 games. It is going to be none other than the 2 RGR team that has now been pushed down to the 9th through the 16th position. So if you look at the 8th position, is still being confirmed, set very much in stone from the side of Venom Legends at 45 points. But as we move on to the second page, let's see how big a difference is there from the 8th to the 9th position. 45 points is where they were at, and now it is 2 RGR on the 9th position with 41 points. So only 4 points shy, and 1 point shy on the 10th position is going to be TRZ Esports. So again, I mean, you get one good game and you are confirmed to be in the top 8. But in all of that, we did see signs of recovery from Seal9. Will that be showcased as we progress on from one game to the next? They were on the 16th when the day started. Now they are on the 14th, but they have a long journey to climb up. But it's possible. I mean, we did just see 7C walked away with 20 points. I mean, Noob Alliance walked away with incredible chicken dinner, and of course the elimination points working as well. So one good game and you're confirmed to be able to climb in up at least 4 to 5 positions on that overall storyboard.
Definitely, and that has certainly been the case. But now towards GR, the wake-up call has already been made, and this was the thing that we were talking about.
True.
As soon as we move into day number 2, there are already other team that you're talking about testing of water. Yes, pretty much we can get to see 7Cs is not a team that will be left behind after the course of 15 matches. That has not to be certainly be the case with the tempo that they have already held on the national front. Whatever game they have played, I really want to see what sort of strats Paradox has to make in this next game also, because in this game they were looking pretty clueless. Whatever be their rotation, wherever the players were growing, everyone just left, right, and center. They were just beaten up from everywhere.
True, very true, very, very true. I mean, it's a little sad actually for the side of Paradox is what I would say, because we saw them rotating around quite a lot, in fact roaming about. Once they made that rotation, they were just not able to find a compound they could call their home for a few minutes, because that is the reason, or in fact that is the main reason why Paradox were caught completely while they were making that rotation again and again and again, as we did mention during the cast as well. I mean, it was almost as if they were on a leisure ride trying to search for their glorious mansion that was never to be delivered, and the only time that we saw Paradox kind of hold on that fort was that small little shack that they were stuck in, and indeed that was also brought down because of steel shot from Venom Legends. Just perfect nade parade being showcased. So it is just a GG approach from side of Paradox, but hopefully as we move on across from first game to the next, things are going to change. One big change I'm anticipating is going to be from the side of Seal9. S9 showcased signs of recovery in that first game on Erangel. Now we're going to be moving on towards the map of Miramar, and this is where Venom Legends did get a chicken dinner yesterday. Savage were completely pincered down. That is going to be another conversation to have. Will Savage be able to recover from the devastating play that they had in this first game today?
Oh, Savage Esports has been on a complete downhill. Downhill is what I have to say. Yesterday, Sanhok completely blown off. Yesterday's Miramar completely blown off by the position that Venom Legends held. And this game itself getting drop contestation and the early mid-fight. Savage Esports, whenever they are being challenged in the very first half of the game, so I guess one mantra for success for them is that just let all the 4 players have a travel to the 17-minute, at least I guess, till the 4th and 5th circle, the transition in between that comes in. I guess that it's the time where they can flourish. But apart from that, let's talk about one more Nepali team, the Gangsters. Gangsters have been really also getting a lot of beating. We talk about the experience that they hold. We Utsarga, blah, 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 coming into the action. But since then, apart from one game that they played in yesterday's gameplay, it was Miramar. Complete lackluster is what I have to say for them.
Well, we'll have to see and give them a little bit of a time, I think. A little bit of a breather is what I would say. I mean, because again, you so perfectly mentioned in your statement, right, that when it comes down to these players, the players in the game, in the team, they are very well known and they are very well experienced itself. With that, let's have a look at the schedule. As we were just discussing, we've got the first game done of day number 2. As we move on through, it is going to be Miramar coming up next, right about now, hopefully.
Definitely. The call has already been made. Throw to game, and there we have it. Miramar, the second game, the second time Miramar happening in this PMPL South Asia Qualifiers 2022. Yesterday it was Venom Legends taking the course. DRS Gaming was also the team that found themselves in the top 2, top 3. It also was one player, if you remember, from WG and RC. So if one Sri Lankan team did perform in last game, that was on the game of Erangel, I again expect somebody coming out of it and just perform it to perfection. Flight path, this is a big curveball. Los Leones, Chumasera, big cities completely out of glide. That means we might expect some contestation around Del Petron, Martin, or maybe Credderfields, or maybe some other cities, some random cities. Because certain big cities, if you talk about it, Minas, Chumasera, Los Leones, Puerto Parasi, completely out of the glide. So how are they going to be acclimatizing and molding their strats according to it? This is also a thing that I'll have to have a keen eyes onto it.
Definitely, mate. And talking about the zone predictions, I want to see the zone go down south towards Los Leones, towards Impala and Puerto Parasio, because that is what the X factor is going to be showcased to the team. Because once again, I mean, we've got the flight path being mostly towards the northern approach, and that is going to make things a little difficult for the teams to make that rotation. But if at all anything, what we've seen from first game is that these teams have done their homework and they know exactly what to anticipate from their opponent side. And along with that, it seemed like ElementriX Sus was already taken on a beating, and look at that zone, mate. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Now I just want the zone to not be a city zone that takes us down towards the Los Leones, because that is where a lot of chaos can end up happening. So let's see what sort of a shift is that going to be made. But with that, we've got Noob Alliance, ISSL Noob Alliance, the team that got that first game chicken dinner with all 4 players. Just amazing play being showcased from the side of this team.
Definitely, Jimmy, Mama, along with the rest of the player, looking pretty good in the vicinity that they are holding. Just on the downside of water treatment is where I can find them, and DRS Gaming. I
Whoa.
guess that's maybe a vehicle mishap, because Critical Field, La Cobrire is where I find them again and again, and since they're pretty away. But what we can see from the map is that they were pretty close to where Noob Alliance jumped off, and since we got to see while we just entered into this match, some shots were being thrown from the sides of Noob Alliance, and that's what it helps you. A chicken in the last match completely boosts you and gives you that extra license to have couple of shots, even if you know that you're not going to be take the player, but just keep them on the bay.
Absolutely, and again, as we talk about Miramar and the late rotations, we've got Seal, who are not even visible to very much in the map right now, because they are towards the extreme western side of the map as of now, and they are definitely going to be looking to make that late rotation. And one thing I do want to talk about, bring up regarding Seal 9 is the fact that, you know, we've seen them on the map of Erangel again and again go down towards military base. No matter how far away the zone is, they do end up making a really good rotation as they enter the zone, but then somehow they kind of falter and pencil down. Now, today's game, first game, definitely there were signs of a comeback being showcased on the side of S9, but we shall have to see if that can be recreated on this map of Miramar as well. And with that, we've got 7C playing their own game towards LSR, I think is where I saw them last, and that's exactly where they are right now as well. And there were no team in the vicinity. They are at the edge of the zone. Once again, a very comfortable spot to be at, because they've got no competition around and they can easily just rotate and get the loot aggregated for themselves, finding themselves on the 5th spot with 16 total eliminations. Yep, so there we go. We had 8 eliminations in that first game, and in the 5 games that they played yesterday, total 5 games, they had 8 eliminations. So a wonderful game number 1 on day 2 for the side of course, 7C Esports.
Definitely, 7C started the day really pretty well, with a good job getting those final finishes, but just not enough because the numbers advantage and the brilliance with which Noob Alliance had the cover set up for them actually helped them secure the chicken. But let's see what happens in this match. Have some real optimistic sign coming in from this one more Mongolian team, Seal 9. We have it for you. We have Senior Munke Zaki. The name needs no introduction, right, brother? We have seen them performing in Season 3, Season 4 continuously, missing 1 week. I still remember that storyline. They missed pretty somewhat a week and they still were able to qualify.
Oh, yes.
They need to bring the same
in
optimism.
Style.
They need to bring the same optimism.
So true. Sorry to cut you off. I was just adding on to that they were able to come back and in style, basically. I mean, even though they missed out on that Super Weekend, they were still so very amazing in terms of the way that they were able to make that comeback story for themselves, and the amount of points that they had collected. It was just phenomenal to see that team perform. But this time around, it is a bit of a lackluster kind of a performance that is being showcased from the side of S9. But again, we've spoken enough about them. I mean, let's give them some slack and hope for the best and a comeback from their side. And with that, it is going to be Rebel with a UMP. Look at that. It is going to be another Mongolian team as we talk about Mongolian teams. Savage not looking too good in this map, as well as Sanchair was almost brought down to his knees. And now is Rebel going to be trying to get that point confirmed? Seems like yes is the case, because his teammate Rules is very much set up with that Mini 14, and Sanchair has nowhere to go. His vehicle has been blown off, and of course the side of DRS know exactly where that dude is at.
He has been pinned. He has been completely pinned down. Sanchur just living on the hope that DRS doesn't push. But Rules and Rebel has something else in their mind. They are just trying to create a flank from the different direction and maybe just give a call to the rest of the teammate to just have him engulfed from the front lines. And in the meanwhile, we have WG and RC, the team that really performed well in the yesterday's Miramar, the only Miramar that has been played till in this tournament till now. We have Omer and the rest of the player. Omer has been pretty much phenomenal in his gameplay. Has been the startling performance from this side itself. Apart from that, it's going to be also Sushti. I really want the rest of the player to just step up the occasion. If they do so, they can again win the same spot. And having a look at that, we just got to see Paradox in the back vicinity. I guess this time they have some clue where to move and what to do, because in the last game they were pretty looking clueless. They had no option, nothing to do. Even if they were being pretty short on, they were just trying to get 1 or 2 smokes here and there, and they had no other option. In this type of lobby, this is a South Asia man lobby. All the players, all the teams have really grinded real hard to make this far, and if you are here, just prove your worth.
That is true, but look on to the western front. We've got Seal9 making a late rotation, and very close to them is going to be the side of Gremlin Storm, and they are also in 4 individual vehicles. So both the teams, 8 players, have 8 vehicles, so that means no sprays can be anticipated, or maybe can be anticipated if they choose to change seats and try and bring in a little bit of that damage control. But in doing so, it seems like Gremlin Storm is going to be stopping in tracks to try and take on a few of those knocks and maybe some eliminations. As of now, the spray has not been showcased, and of course the late rotation is going to be brought on down from both of those teams. And as we move on through to the center of the zone right here, we do have Los Leones that is being there are just so many colors right here. We've got Paradox, we've got 2RGR, we've got the Gangsters, we've got so many teams that are in a close proximity. But once again, we are looking at a city-based fight right now, and that is where things definitely get real crazy in those urban situations.
No, definitely. So what we have from this game itself, the 3rd or the 4th shift will be completely going away from this border area. So if not Impala, the city, the circle might end into the city of Los Leones. So that's the only 2 things. On to the northern or the northwestern side of Impala, or the city finish, the famous city finish of Los Leones. That's the 2 things that I can predict by the looks of it. But I don't really know what sort of love affair is going between Gremlin Storms and Seal9 Esports, be it the game of Erangel or Miramar. I don't really know, but anyway, they have been managing themselves to find their lost love. Even in this desert, they are just doing it so with perfection. And Seal9, a long rotation also in the game of Erangel that didn't pave their way. I hope this time this saved them.
Absolutely. Hopefully that we can anticipate, and that in doing so is going to result in, well, Sisti right here from the side of WGNRC has been brought down to his knees, not looking too good as of now, but again his teammates are going to be around him to be able to give that revival. But in doing so, we shall have to see if that will be allowed or not, because the Gangsters are definitely pushing on through to get that elimination point confirmed for their side, and along with that, it is going to be confirmed first blood coming in to this game 9 minutes in from the side of 7C.
Oh yeah, 7C's pretty much stepping up onto the occasion. The last match, optimism and the positive sign is actually helping them pave a lot of points in the number. And the first blood, as you perfectly mentioned, goes into the name of 7C's Esports. WGNRC looking good. They had the knock. Eventually the trade knock has been also made, and seems like Doom knows that yes, Ayush has been knocked down, but since the distance is pretty much more to what that could have been the lesser one, they are just not going for the push. And this is one good thing, because had there been any sort of push, the Gangsters were already ready to retaliate onto this push. So NRC, yes, they have the aggression, but a controlled one is always the more considered one that can help in this case, in this scenario. But the Gangsters, I'm not liking the way they are trying to play. They're out in the open. Yes, revival has been done. Now the only objective should be to either found a compound or find themselves into some sort of shelter or a heaven. Not in this open situation, because a lot of team is trying to make a rotation. We have Venom Legends, we have WGNRC in the same vicinity, and as soon as we said that, Amer is just trying to take down the players of Venom Legend. He's trying to make connection, but still unsuccessful.
Well, again, a little bit of spray was definitely showcased on the side of Amir right here with the Scarrel in his hand, and in doing so, he of course is not letting go of that final position of the Gangsters that they had seen a few minutes earlier as well, and Ayush still holding that ground point exactly at that same dip that they were given a little bit of damage and a knock towards. But in doing so, I mean, all of his teammates from Ayush's side have already fallen back. So not entirely sure what Ayush's approach is going to be over here. Maybe just waiting on to that angle to see what the opponent team is going to be doing. And as we move away from the Gangsters towards JyanMaara Esports, these dudes are also looking really
Oh
incredible.
no.
But 7C, they are just absolutely playing a havoc of a game today, because they got the first blood and now they've already got a second elimination point also confirmed, and that is going to be the teammate of Ayush, and they are of course from the side of the Gangsters. So the Gangsters, you did mention them in the previous post game as well, not looking too good, and this time around on Miramar, definitely not having a good game.
No, they're just looking as clueless as Paradox is. No two is doubt about that. Gangsters leaving Ayush behind it. I don't really know what sort of calls are being made. Maybe some sort of miscommunication between them. But 7Cs, they are pretty aware about the situation. Smokey being taken out of this lobby. But one good thing for blah 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 and the rest of the players that are still in the vicinity, that still have the buggy, the individual buggy that can have and make a rotation from. Just waiting for the moment of truth is here. The circle goes away from Los Leones and southern side of Impala still in the contention. In the Deathpack Center, we still have NRC to RGR in a big split. They need to recuperate and get together as soon as the other teams make a push. But where is DRS? They're still pretty much away from the circle. They were thinking that the circle might come into this favor, into the lap, but goes away. We have Savage Esports. They are still pretty much away. Whenever they play Miramar, they just play passive, and that's one good example of this game.
Well, they definitely have taken a different approach on day number 2 from the side of Savage Esports. On the other side, we look at the southern part of the map right here on our screens. It is going to be C9 who have successfully made that rotation and are going to be all 4 players jumping into the zone from the southern end, where in their close proximity is going to be XBROTHERS and Kings of BD. Also, we can see are making a rotation towards the center of the zone, where WG and RC are definitely claiming the grounds. And in all of that, we've got Paradox. Paradox, all 4 players definitely alive, playing the edge game as of now. They do have their opponents in their sight, in their crosshairs. They definitely, I mean, we can see that they've got the information, and it is going to be Ego with the Mini 14 in his hands, just waiting, just definitely waiting to see what his opponents are going to be doing. And the opponents that we're talking about are going to be none other than Noob Alliance, the first game's chicken dinner winners.
No, definitely. They are in the vicinity and they are trying to just have it for once. Paradox, Ego just trying to take the TPP advantage, not trying to aggress, but still trying to gather information by just jumping with his Mini 14 in his hand. But far away, we can get to see DRS in the back vicinity. So Noob Alliance has to be pretty much careful. If they just move away from all these fights, they shouldn't anyways bang into the head with DRS. But seems like Rules has been spotted down. Some mini shots get onto the head of it. Escapes the knock. But I guess the cover fire and the retaliation might just come in few seconds, because Roos is not the one who will just get the bullet on his head and not retaliate.
Well, this is looking pretty precarious situation for the side of the Real Soldiers, because they were making a rotation from the northwestern side, if I'm not mistaken, and from there it is going to be Paradox who are definitely holding the fort at the edge of the zone against these two teams, the Noob as well as DRS. And right here we've got Gremlin Storm who are finally into the edge of the zone, but as soon as they do, they are in the close proximity of the team of TRZ. Gremlin Storm are already down to a 2-man army. That's going to be Kapshi and Badrev, and Badrev is taking on quite a lot of damage thanks to Mamba bringing in those nade parades against him, and in doing so, Badrev has been brought down to his knees, and in just a matter of seconds, this elimination point is definitely going to be confirmed to that UMP in Mamba's hand. Thus, Gremlin Storm is just a one-man squad in the name of, I believe, Kapshi.
Badrev, hot Badrev goes down. Gremlin Storm still surviving.
Oh, so it's Kapshi's sexy now.
Kapshi's sexy and Badrev is hot, so a lot of wordplay is being made. But let's just see what sort of gameplay Gremlin Storm still has. The name hot has also been suffixed, but the gameplay hasn't still been hot. They still need to do something different. Gremlin Storm, before this match started, at the 15th position with 19 total points, and with Kapshi just out in the blues. Blue is eating up by the time survives, and there we have it. It's not the blue, it's Mad Cat with his Corel. Kapshi Sexy goes down, and Gremlin Storm, it's their end in this match. They need to make sure that the next game, when they come in the game of Erangel, where everything settles down, everyone is well aware of how to play out this match. could have been the case. But let's have a look at the Seal9 Esports. The approach from 16 to 14, if I'm not wrong, in the last match they progressed. Maybe in this match they might just come into the top 10.
Well, they are looking pretty comfortable in that compound that they've got, and of course they're in the zone as well. So with all 4 players surviving from their side, it is going to be a healthy approach for S9. That is all that I'm going to say, because there are still 15 teams remaining, 16 and a half, 17 minutes into this game. Anything can happen as of now. We do have Noob, who are holding on this warehouse compound right down south of the positioning of Paradox, as we saw a couple of minutes earlier as well. And Paradox are still on top of that hill, but we shall have to see for how long, because they are in the open, and Paradox needs to be careful about the position being in the open. Alongside that, we've got WGNRC also making a rotation, and G1 from the side of Para has been caught, but thankfully that ridge is going to be able to favor him, but not for long it seems like, because quite a lot of damage was done to him. And DRS making rotation is definitely going to be pushing on towards Almir, and he is down to his knees. WRC, this team at WGNRC, they are doing a phenomenal job holding the fort against DRS's rotation.
Oh, definitely. WGNRC, 3 players gone down, and Hazen is giving rival to first Sushti and then the rest of the players. But look at this. Who do we have in the vicinity? It's Savage Esports. Hershey is trying to make a push. He realized the situation, trying to just toss a grenade. But Sushti, being the clever one, just trying to escape the death for the moment. Ayush has been completely finished off, and that was a fight between DRS and D. Now is the time when they need to hold their horses well. Savage Esports, no power can stop out them in this position. One grenade, you can see Hershey is still in the animation. You know that someone is on the back foot of it, and behind the door on the left hand side there is someone who can still be pulled down. Ligro just tries to throw a grenade onto the first floor, and there we have it. The first knock comes in from the sides of Hershey with the help of that UMP that just leaves down to one more player standing, the on-standing player, and that is going to be of Sushti. As soon as this fight gets wrapped up, one more objective for Savage Esports is going to be to make a move into the zone. But then again, we have Paradox this time going a tough fight against DRS Gaming.
Absolutely, and Paradox's Hazer has been brought down to his knees. Now it's all down to Ego G1 to be able to bring that player down, and it is going to be done pretty comfortably with that. It is going to be Delta from the side of DRS, who is down to his knees as well. Rebel, the man surviving, given that revival rules has been brought up, and now it is going to be a 2v1, and indeed in doing so, Paradox will get eliminated on the 13th spot. DRS still have a 3-man squad pushing on along to get very comfortably into the zone. But what a fight they took right here. And Paradox, again, I mean, they tried to play it to perfection. They did walk away with the 2 elimination points for themselves, so a GG controlled fight is what Paradox took right there. But in doing so, they did damage DRS's approach into this game, where 2 of their players have been already eliminated, and in doing so, they have 6 points for now. Savage Esports on the other front are also looking pretty comfortable, but look on to the map itself. We've got XBROTHERS sitting pretty comfortably in the center with a compound that is, as of now, not being contested, but very close to their proximity is going to be Seal9 approaching them as well.
Venom Legends completely wrapping up the fight. 7C's Esports bids goodbye to this lobby. And now one big objective for Venom Legends is how to make a move into the zone. On the top right hand side, you can get to see the minimap. And Kings of BD pretty much ready to welcome Venom Legends as soon as they make a move into the zone. Else, if they try to make a bigger rotation, it's going to be JyanMaara. So as soon as Venom Legend enters on the edge of the circle, either it is going to be Kings of BD or JyanMaara or TRZ. They are just not safe for the moment. They are just not safe. Hustler can just be the next one to go down, and he goes down. One grenade picks up 2 more. Seal9 also falling down. Hustler going down. Everywhere you can get to see a complete chaotic situation. As soon as the circle made a shift, it seemed like it's just the end game for a lot of teams.
Well, Dante here playing a game of perfection with the utilities that he has in control of, and he is definitely holding the fort against the players of SA, but not for long, because Savage Esports are definitely going to be retaliating, and it's going to be none other than Hershey, the man, the dude who makes Savage Esports so very kill hungry, is definitely going to be not allowing that sort of a play style against his teammates, and he is going to be stopping that fight right there. And of course, Kings of BD, they did have a good approach. They tried, Delta did try, but of course, 1 against all the 4 players right here from Savage Esports was not enough. Of course, Savage have lost one of their players in this fight, but they still do have 4 elimination points with the 3 players still surviving, so looking pretty neat. But now Seal9 also joining in the fray. It is going to be Mr. Heroes, who needs to be very, very cautious and careful, but I guess he can't do much when you've got a nade lobbed onto your head. There's nothing you can do but to die in front of it, and that's exactly what is going to happen. Seal9 getting another elimination point for themselves, but the fights, they are going haywire right now, as we've got third-party situations taking place in the 22 minutes of this game.
No, definitely. Seal9 had a real good entry into the zone from the southwestern side, but so has not been for the case of TRZ. They are going up against the fights of JyanMaara. Seal9 completely eliminating and just giggling up the team of JyanMaara. ElementriX, this time JyanMaara is still surviving. Seal9 have a real good chance of this match. The western side is completely being dominated. They have the edge of the circle and they still have the height control. The only factor that can bring them down is going to be them itself, but this time TRZ have some different option. They can still make a move into the zone from the downtown southern side, and if they do so, again Seal9 can be in the contention. Venom Legends just trying to make a push on to JyanMaara, realizing the fact that this height needs to be taken down, and JyanMaara realizing the situation. Soulless is just trying to find himself off and out of the situation, trying to create the flank. This leaves down to only two players in the situation, where Gunner, as soon as he tries to scope into the very first player, he will be taken down. Player disadvantage is where JyanMaara has been completely pulled down. That means JyanMaara survives with only two players left, one being Soulless.
Dude, I mean, again, Steel Shot and Junaid, the way they made this push against JyanMaara, that was so very synergistic. I mean, just a matter of seconds is what it took to bring down the players of JyanMaara. And as you so perfectly mentioned, Soulless, the one final player remaining, but it seems like not for long, because the nade has been lobbed in from the side of TRZ Mamba, and that is the end of JyanMaara Esports right there on the 9th spot with 0 elimination points to their side. 8 teams remaining. We've got Venom Legends with all 4 players moving on along. XBROTHERS pretty much in the center of the zone is what we saw them with all 4 players, 4 elimination points from their side, as well as TRZ with 4 elimination points. So looking pretty comfortable, but now it is going to be Savage Esports who seem to be in a little bit of a trouble because he's just a one-man army. But XBROTHERS, well, Seal9 is what this team has completely been able to stop in that rotation, and Faisal, the dude, has been able to confirm 4 elimination points already, and it seems like Senor is the one man remaining from the side of S9. There is no way, absolutely no way, he can help out his teammate.
Look at the place at where Seal9 Esports Senor is still holding. What have they done is that they have already gifted 3 finish points to the team of XBROTHERS, and not only gifted the points, they have already, the numbers have dwindled down for them with Senor only the player standing. Noob Alliance falls down, 7 finish into the names of XBROTHERS, and Senor can just be the next one to go down. His head has already been spotted down by the players of XBROTHERS, and Venom is the one just trying to give the couple of damage onto his face of it. Venom Legends also take an exit in this lobby with 12 total points. DRS makes an exit. Savage Esports goes out. That means TRZ, XBROTHER, Kings of BD. Look at the number of teams from Bangladesh have a good game in Miramar, and that's exactly what I said yesterday. Whenever Miramar comes, Bangladeshi team assert their influence, and today is one good prime example of it.
Well, I am definitely loving the fact that right now, even though it's just a one-man army, S9, he is still, Senor from the side of S9, is still wanting to take on those elimination points from his side, and is doing so gracefully against the players of TRZ. Of course, XBROTHERS, Faisal, as well as Venom, I guess the entire team actually knows where the final player is from the side of S9, but he has that altitude advantage. Being on top of that mountain and ridge is definitely given him a bit of an X factor in all of this fight, where, of course, TRZ cannot approach from that angle, and XBROTHERS on the other side, along with Kings of BD, waiting for TRZ towards the southern flank, is going to be a tricky situation. And now it is all going to be dictated by how the zone makes this fight push on along. And as we can look onto the mini map, the team in yellow, Kings of BD, they are going to have to move on towards the position that TRZ is holding to get into the comfort of the zone, as they are still 50 meters away.
They are certainly 50 meters away. Is going to be, seems like 500 meters in all these chaotic situation. One good thing for TRZ, they still have the man advantage, numbers advantage that we all want in all these fights. 3 teams just alive. Savage Esports bids back to this lobby with totally 11 points. Kings of BD making a move into the open. Smokes are being deployed. Vexy is leading the charge, but Mamba is just waiting behind the buggy. in this small little open warehouse. XBROTHERS have been completely pinned down, and there we have it. The opening knock comes in from the sides of Mad Cat, and I guess on this, the rest of the team from the sides of TRZ are trying to capitalize onto it. But TRZ needs to make sure that they double check that there is also one team behind XBROTHERS, and that is going to be of Kings of BD. At this point, Kings of BD, XBROTHERS are completely sandwiched.
Well, they definitely are. They need to play this all the way down to perfection if they want to be able to convert this into a game that they call a chicken dinner. But it's not going to be an easy fight. But along with all of that, I mean, you talk about the elimination points. They've already confirmed 8 elimination points from their side. 3-man army is what they are waiting at. Same is this case for the side of Kings of BD. And as of now, the smoke wall that has been created from the side of XBROTHERS is definitely helping the cause for them to be able to survive just for a few more minutes. But TRZ, they are on a mission to completely get those elimination points confirmed for their side, and Mad Cat has been able to get that X factor, and Kings of BD have been brought down to a 2-man army.
Sitting duck. It was an easy kill, pretty much, I guess, for Mad Cat. He was just out in the open, just proning around. But there we have it. Mahfouz Whitey with one knock coming in for TRZ, and this can just be the opening blotter that Kings of BD were sensing at.
Absolutely, that's perhaps what they were waiting for, but now they've been brought down to a 2-man squad where it is Mahfouz as well as Dictator, but TRZ, they are being pincered down as well because XBROTHERS' approach in this entire fight, the snail's approach from this XBROTHERS side has definitely worked out in this team's favor, and this is something that TRZ were definitely not waiting for, or rather hoping for, but Kings of BD, as you so perfectly mentioned, coming in from the back angles, is definitely going to be able to capitalize on this with a third-party situation where Venom is going to be waiting in his McLaren. All right, mate, show me your head. I'm just waiting for you. I want to be able to gun you down, but Dictator, does he have a clue? Does he have an idea that there is a player? It seems like he does. So a very precarious situation that these teams find themselves in. Again, I mean, TRZ Atomic, there is no way that he's going to be able to get that revival because Mahfouz Whitey has been keeping a track of that hut for the past 4 to 5 minutes. So no way is that revival going to be coming in. That means TRZ are also going to be brought down to a 2-man army as of now. We've got Mad Cat and Mamba on the other side. Kings of BD have a 2-man army. So everything falls down to XBROTHERS. What are they going to be able to do?
No, but this M249 and Groza is looking pretty lethal for XBROTHERS. This can really be that X factor. Only if TRZ and Kings of BD goes into the fight, but from left hand side, Mamba is just trying to create that flank angle, and all these small little angles are being checked once the blue pushes them up. But before that happens, that Groza comes in, and Faisal brings one more knock. That brings out to the only last player standing for Mamba, and this is not looking good at all for TRZ.
Absolutely not. They just need one utility to be able to throw down into that small little pit against the players of TRZ, and that's going to be the end and demise of TRZ Esports. But that is not going to be the case because the revival is definitely going to be brought on along. But right now, XBROTHERS, they need to really play this guard right. Dominic on the back angle needs to be very, very careful because Dictator and Mahfouz Whitey are still waiting. So Mamba Bay is just definitely going to be keeping a check on that flank angle, whereas from the side of Mad Cat, he is just waiting what XBROTHERS are going to be doing. So this is a fight that is being dictated by the blue zone. Which side is the blue zone going to be pushing on along?
There was a utility, but that was a stunt pretty much just to flash off the eyes of Mad Cat. No one is just pushing. No one is just pushing. If XBROTHERS wins, they will be finding them in the top 8. If Kings of BD wins, they will be finding them in the top 8. And the slip at which TRZ are at currently, they can help the course. Now the blue is pushing. XBROTHERS, they need to come out of all these blues. And as soon as they do, Mad Cat along with Mamba and on the backhand side, Kings of BD, they are just waiting. Yes, both of them, they make a push, trying to take a knock. They do so, but as soon as they do, the man with the Groza goes down. Before that happens, is XBROTHERS out of nowhere take this win in his favor. And that was the thing I was talking about. M249 and Groza in this small little fight, this small little circle in this close range can be that X factor. Apart from circle, it was the only thing that could have brought them in the favor. And look at where they're standing. 6th position, 1772, 6 damage and total 26 points. And that's what you told in the last game. You win one game with 25, 26, 27 total points, something like that. And you find themselves in your at least top 8 slot. And there we have it for XBROTHERS.
Absolutely, and somehow, I don't know what is going on, but in the previous game as well, it was the team on the 6th position that was hunkered down from their role, and now it is again the team that was finding themselves on the 6th position that has been stolen away from the side of XBROTHERS as of now. So again, I mean, what a perfect final circle that was. A very interesting game that turned out to be, but indeed, the numbers advantage definitely worked in favor of XBROTHERS because the 2 players of XBROTHERS who made that push were brought down to their knees. It was just that one final player with the M249 who was able to just completely pinch it down. Not only the final player Mamba, but also Kings of BD as well. So again, a GG approach from XBROTHERS long before we moved on into those final fights, right? We had already seen XBROTHERS were pretty much in the center of the zone. They were just holding on to that compound for such a long time. And again, I mean, we've spoken about this team. This team needed a win, and here they are making a comeback.
No, definitely. Kings of VD, XBROTHER. I guess both the teams were pretty much close to at that 12th and 13th position before the game started. And I was talking about it. Now, the Miramar certainly deserves to all these Bangladeshi teams. The way they actually progressed. Venom Legends was also the team. Till the top 5 and top 6, they aggressed for sure. But as soon as they perished, there was the rest of the players in the lobby to take course and to handle it from their side. But for the moment, let's just head towards the most valuable player for this match. And let's see who was the hero. This time, gonna be none other than Fazal from the sides of XBROTHERS.
There we go, with 7 eliminations, no assist whatsoever. He's been very kill hungry this time around. The elimination points definitely working for him as well as his team. Along with that, 780 damage. So a very precise gameplay is what this dude showcased right here from the side of XBROTHERS, and in doing so, of course, he's got the MVP. But along with that, we shall also glance our eyes towards the other players, the other top players who were very close to being the MVP.
No, definitely. He's the one player, and we'll have a clear picture as of what Blotter mentioned from the top players list of this match, and then we'll get to see who other player were the one. And that is going to be Atomic, none other than Madcat, none other than Mamba again at the second spot. I really want at least once Mamba before today's gameplay ends to be the MVP. Yes, he is in the list of the top 4 players, but he has to be at the top if DRZ has to move up.
Well, we can definitely keep our fingers crossed for that to take place and happen, because again, I mean, the team of DRZ is playing a very, very synergistic game from one to the next, so that is working in that team's favor. But that MVP title, it's not an easy one to attain. On the other front, I want to take the conversation towards the storyboard, where indeed you talk about the first position holder, that was the Real Soldiers, right? They were still able to walk away with only a few, I think, placement points and no elimination points. On the other front, when it comes down to the team on the second, that was Savage, they got 5 elimination points this game around. So they are trying to catch up, but the fight again from the 3rd all the way down to the 8th is so very close.
Definitely, but let's just move towards the match summary. We'll get to see what sort of how many grenades, how many damage it was dealt. So healing again mounts to 9,777, and that was just because it was not a proper city fight, it was not a proper concrete fight, but there was still enough for them to actually heal themselves. And we got to see at least twice it was the moment where either Mamba was giving revival to Madcat or Madcat was giving revival to Mamba, and that would have pretty much accumulated a lot of healing in the numbers.
Absolutely, but looking at that elimination and total knocks, that means it was a very, very precise game right now in this one. With that, as we move on through, let's have a look at the match ranking, where we do know who got the chicken dinner. That's going to be XBROTHERS with those 11 elimination points, but the same is the elimination point coming in to favor of DRS Esports as well. So an amazing play being showcased, in fact, from all of these teams that find themselves in the top 8, because you look at that elimination point, that is just spread all across in all of these teams, between all these teams.
Definitely, you're talking about DRS Gaming. So yes, 4 placement points and 8 elimination for them, equivalent to what 2 squad wipe could have been. Not exactly, but yes, not technically, but yes. Savage Esports, 11 total points in their favor. Venom Legends, 6. ElementriX, 5. So somewhere down the line, the fight for the first between DRS and Savage Esports still on. That could have been still pretty much the same when we get to see the overall ranking. But yes, 7C's Esports, 3 total points. And if you remember, 7C's player was the one who brought the very first knock and finish in this match, but then they just perished.
And again, I mean, yesterday we saw 2 RGR make a real good comeback, starting off from Sanhok and moved on into Erangel, but today they seem to be losing out on all that lead that they had created for themselves. And with that, as we talk about that storyboard, let's move on across to the overall ranking. We know that XBROTHERS have moved all the way into the top 8 with the 6th position there for themselves with 61 points. So just 3 points shy, and they very well could be on the 3rd spot. So quite a decent climb coming in from the side of XBROTHERS right here.
Definitely, but the century marker has already been hit for DRS Gaming, and I guess nothing to guess about. DRS and Savage will be pretty much going to the PMPL, be in the top 8. JyanMaara 64, 63 for TRZ, 62 ElementriX, 61 XBROTHERS. 4 teams split in just 4 total points, and then we have not a lot of drop. Just a 5-point difference between XBROTHERS and 7Cs, 56 total points. And then we have at 51 Kings of BD. They really had a very good game, but it is really sad to see. One good game for WG, another bad one, and they are again on second half of the chart. The race is really on, and now in the race, S9 Esports, you see this one new name coming up and popping up. 7 matches, 32 total points, not far away from where Kings of BD have started making a push. Seal9 Esports can definitely be the one that can surely lessen the gap between them and the team that is standing on the 10th position. Still, I guess 15 to 16 total points between them and where Kings of BD is standing. If they just lessen the gap, the opening comes in. But if that happens or not, we'll head towards the third game of the day. But before that, let's head to a short little break. Be right back. Welcome back, folks, to PMPL South Asia Qualifiers 2022. I'm going to be host Ankit, and joining alongside me again is going to be Broader, and we'll be quickly heading towards the schedule for the day. And the next game, it is going to be obviously on the map of Erangel. We'll get to see in a while over there. But what a day it has been for the rest of the team. The first game belonged to complete domination by Noob Alliance, followed by XBROTHERS, and in just the replay we just saw how C9 Esports were making a push and they were given a big backlash, but the call has been made. The second Erangel of the day, the third game for the day, is live in a minute.
Absolutely. With that, the flight path going to be taken on our screens, and here we go for the second Erangel of the day. Things are looking pretty interesting, as you so perfectly mentioned, for the other teams, because yesterday all the chicken dinners were taken on by three teams: Venom Legends, Savage Esports, and the Real Soldiers. But today we've got brand new teams taking on those chicken dinners. So that is the story that is being defined as of now with the two games that have been played. But with that, looking at the flight path, this is going to be an interesting one, because if the flight path is down south and low, that means the zone should definitely be up north towards the eastern front, and that's going to make things that much more interesting once these teams start making rotation. Another thing actually, Ankit, I wanted to ask was, have you also noticed the same thing, where indeed today the teams, they are playing it very, very slow? I mean, the fights that they end up taking, we've got 16 teams surviving all the way up to the 16th minute marker as well in these games.
Maybe they have just accustomed after the yesterday's gameplay. One thing, second one can just be the fear of losing out. No one wants to be out of the top 8. And talking about that, we just saw before we just went on a small little break, the difference that has now been started diminishing. C9 Esports, where they started from the last position, they have started jumping onto the top. Not exactly onto the top, but yes, they are moving and inching toward the top. The circle has completely formed onto the western side, favoring the Novorupnoi area. We'll get to see once again if the observers are pretty much showing us the minimap. But Savage Esports are again and again finding. Last time it was ElementriX, if I guess, and this time it's Gangsters.
Well, Savage Esports have had an interesting hustling day today, but in doing so, this time around, they will be able to get away from that position and situation where the Gangsters could definitely have hurt them a little bit, but that is definitely not going to be the case. With that, blah, blah, blah on our screens with the Mutant in his hand and the Mini 14 looking pretty good as of now, but his teammates are nowhere to be seen, so not entirely sure if he's a one-man lonesome. Yep, that is true. If we look on towards him, in the yellow, very close to, of course, Savage Esports, he's the one-man army, and all three of his teammates are down south towards the ruins region. So he is going to have to be pretty careful as he tries to get back to his team. On the other front, as he moves towards the zone itself, we've got smack in the center, DRS looking pretty solid, but now here we have it. Blah, 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 all by himself, has been caught like a fish, dying almost. And this is something that, of course, Ligro from the side of Savage Esports is not going to allow to run away. He wants to catch that fish, and Hershey is in the backlines trying to just bring that aggression to the face of blah, blah, blah. But it seems like this is going to be an end for blah 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 from the looks of it, because there is no way that Savage Esports is wanting to let this fight go away from their hands, and that elimination point they will definitely want to confirm in the first few minutes itself.
They're using anything and everything that they have. They use themselves, then they are trying to use this boat, and now blah blah has been spotted down. He has been trying really hard to escape out this death, but blah 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 just perishes by himself, drowning into the water. And by the new update that we have, we can still have the revival option underwater. You still don't die, but you just have one hand with which you can swim. That decreases the swim speed definitely, but that has certainly not to be the case, because there is no player from the sides of Gangsters in the vicinity that can come and give him the revival. But all Savage Esports can have is that one small little point in their favor as an elimination point for the moment.
Wow. And blah 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 will definitely not be given that point to the team of Savage Esports. Savage were very, very savage in that approach. I mean, they really wanted to get that elimination point confirmed for themselves, but it seems like blah 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 is just not having it, just not allowing it. With that, we've got the first blood in the name of sacrifice coming in from the side of the Gangsters, and that is going to be blah blah blah, where all the other teammates of his are, well, again, so far away that there was no way. They're down towards the ruin region, so there was no way that they could have helped him out in that situation. With that, 63 players, of course, alive. We're just 4.5 minutes into the game, and as of now, the Gangsters are just a 3-man squad.
Blah blah being pulled out of the lobby. Eventually, he himself kicked him out of the lobby, getting 3 men still. Ayush with Sargans, Mrs. Smokey running out in the open, but that really didn't make any sense. Blah blah knew that he already has no cover fire whatsoever with the case. He shouldn't have any fired, and Savage Esports are not the team that are gonna be letting you go that easy, and that's the reason we're getting to see blah 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 out of the lobby. JyanMaara again finding themselves in the Lipovka and Mansion, a big spread coming in with along with them. Jumping till towards the area, big extension till shelter, so Lipovka till shelter, and in midway Parisian also comes in. So if you have a control of all these 3 cities in this type of circle, that means you really are doing good and justice for you.
That is so true. That is definitely so true indeed. And as of now, again, I mean, you talk about the zone, the teams are looking like they are going to be able to, get into the comfort of the zone pretty easily. I mean, so many of the teams are almost in the zone itself, like almost 50 to 60% of the teams are in the zone. So a decent game can be anticipated from the side of the zone and the Erangel map. But what sort of an aggressive stance are these teams going to be taking? Because again, as we talk about the Gangsters, they've been brought down to a 3-man squad, sitting on the 14th position with total 10 eliminations, 23 points. This is their play. But one more thing is the UMP. Dude, this needs to change. I mean, PUBG gods, you'd better start working on that thing, because now we are looking at almost every player sitting with a UMP in their hand as a first or a secondary.
Definitely, and that's the reason. I mean, that the base damage is certainly higher than what we have for the M4s. And definitely one thing that can beat the damage, and that is of AKMs and Roza only. That's all 7.62s assault rifles, but it's really hard to control the recoil even in the middle and short range fight if you are having. But that's not the case with the UMP. You can still have those grips attached. So certainly yes, an overpowered gun for the moment has been in the contention for a couple of times. We have also seen this gun pretty much working by a lot of team in the global championship also that finished recently a month back, and this is certainly broken for the moment. And yes, I do agree with you, that needs to be what you do that. I mean, just nerf that.
Yep. I mean, definitely do not do anything. Definitely needs to be touched upon, basically. But again, as we move on to the 9th to the 16th position, now Venom Legends have been brought down to the 9th position. They were glued rather is what I would say, to the 8th position for quite some time, but this time around they have been brought down to the 9th from the previous game's approach. And along with that, as we move on across, the same point is being shared with Kings of BD with 51 points, and that is the team on the 8th spot. Now this time around we shall have to see Savage's approach to this game, because we do know they have some really good Erangel games, but will this game be the defining one when they take over DRS? Or will it still be DRS leaping away with the points being accumulated against them, or for them rather? On the other side, as we move on towards another fight that is taking place, it is going to be WGNRC's Amar, who seems to be in close proximity with the UMP alongside Dante.
Grenade has been cooked from both sides, both the direction, but heavy damage has been inflicted onto Amar. He knows that someone is again cooking a grenade onto the face of it, and that's the reason he's trying to just shift his angle and change the angle, but no, that's not the case. One toss onto the face of it, and Vexy goes down, but as soon as Dante goes out, just trying to finish off that knock that was created, he has been completely pulled down. A complete 4v4 fight going between these Bangladeshi and the Sri Lankan team, in which both the teams have suffered equal casualty, but for the moment it seems like the number is being traded more onto the name and onto the teams of Kings of BD, because 2 down onto the names of Kings of BD, and with 1 player nowhere to be seen in this vicinity, with NRC all 4 players charging in, Kings of BD needs to do anything in this situation.
They definitely do. I mean, WGNRC, they are just on top of that utility control as of now, and they are definitely given in a lot of damage to the players of Kings of BD. With that Dictator, the final man surviving, he's all by himself. A 2v1 situation where indeed he tried his level best, but WGNRC Sisti is going to be able to easily confirm that and deny that elimination point to the team of Kings of BD. With that, the 4 players have been brought down to their knees. The first team elimination coming into this game, and the points going into the favor of WGNRC. A good team fight is what this was, and indeed the way that they resulted, Kings of BD rather, resulted in taking that fight, it seemed like they could very well be able to utilize at least one elimination point, but that has not been allowed. And with that, we look at the zone certainly has moved away from the military base, where we do see C9 making rotation into the center of the zone, and down to the center we still do have so many colors, so many teams looking very, very comfortable. So like I said, I mean, a very comfortable Erangel match is what this has turned out to be, especially thanks to the zone.
Definitely. Finally, out of all these blues, I personally like the eastern shift around the shelter farm and the prison area, where we get to see, and thank you Observer for showing us the mapping and get to see, quickly have a look at it. TRZ always makes a late rotation from the northern side. They always go for the extended rotation, be it with the game of Erangel or Miramar. They are again doing so, but Gangsters are pretty close to where Savage Esports are present. But somewhere down the line, around the Potato Hill areas, we can get to see Paradox again, getting clueless. One player has already been picked down. This time it's again XBROTHERS. Dominic finishes that finish point for the team, with Amar getting into the fight. Huzu going down. ElementriX also been just not too good for the moment, and it seems that WGNRC are pretty unstoppable for this moment. Somebody needs to stop this player, and the angle is certainly not going to be helping the case. But on the backhand side, Sus takes one more knock onto the flavor. Doom comes in, Doom goes down, and RC, they are also perishing into the situation.
Well, now it's all down to Sisti, and he's definitely not going to allow that one final player from the side of ElementriX to be able to confirm those eliminations, and in doing so, once again, WGNRC have been able to keep all 4 players alive, and in doing so, have already been able to accumulate 8 elimination points. So a GG approach in this game from the side of WGNRC, and this is just 11 minutes in. So it seems like this team already has a lot of points working in this team's favor, and the game has just begun. So a perfect approach for this Erangel for WGNRC.
No, definitely. In yesterday's, it was the only game of Miramar where they excelled with the shine, and they are already adding a lot of feather on their crown. I'm talking about WGNRC eating up 2 squads is no joke in this complete lobby of South Asian teams, with C9 Esports pretty much close to where Paradox players are present. We still have Goldie, Ego, and one player in the back vicinity just trying to create the flank on the minimap. You can still see where the F ends of farm. One player still lurking around. I don't really know, is he still even clueless or what? But the circle makes a shift going towards the area of Prison, Milta and Milta Power. Out in the open, there are a lot of lumberjack areas at which Savage Esports can have a real control. And my gut feeling says Savage Esports can have a real, again, bloodshed bath. Not exactly what we saw in the very first game of this qualifier started, but somewhere down the line they can still have a very good game only if they play their card well. Out of the zone, TRZ are trying to make also a rotation, and on the western side there's a complete chaos. At least 5 to 6 teams, a color splash is what we are getting to see. On the other side, Gangsters are also making a rotation, losing out one player in the very first half of the game. It was blah blah blah, and that was Savage Esports, and then they started making a rotation, a prolonged rotation from the northern side. There might be the case that DE Gangsters can just go up against TRZ when they meet on the northern edge, but certainly around the area of shelter, around the areas of all these lumberjack areas, we are having Venom Legends on our TV screens, and they need to have a strong game. With Void out of the equation, Nightwing, Still Shot and Frypan needs to play their card well.
Absolutely. I mean, Venom Legends, they are definitely needing to up their game a little bit, as they're sitting on the 9th spot with 51 points. And as we move on through, 7C is a team that has today definitely showcased a sign of resurgence from yesterday's non-aggressive stance that they had yesterday compared to today. On the other front, it is going to be 2RGR that they are trying to thrash on down, and Memo, with that helmet completely useless, he is definitely bringing in quite a lot of damage. But sadly, as of now, the elimination point has not been confirmed for the side of 7C, and in doing so, in doing those sprays, they've given away that information towards the players of Savage Esports. And there we can clearly see Ligro taking on a very good, very quick spray towards the memo, and that is going to be a knock confirmed. But will it be an elimination point confirmed as well? Because as of now, Ligro definitely is not pushing on for his luck and is taking a passive approach in that fight.
Definitely, and this is the controlled aggression that we all expect. If you have to excel, you have to be the one that if you are feeling, if you're having a gut feel that yes, I mean, if you are getting all these finish points, but on the pretext of what? Getting one traded for the 1 point, that's not going to be the case. That shouldn't be the case, and just because of that, Savage Esports are just holding themselves an inch back, just having the twice thought before making a push, and this is a very good thing for them. But the team that is looking pretty unstoppable for the moment after galloping 2 squads.
Wow.
Now Scene9 Esports are on their crosshair. WGNRC completely looking a sublime team for the moment. Whatever be the team, whatever the player, they just don't care. They only take them down. And with Amar cooking up one more grenade, this might just make some connection. If not, it can certainly make some fear in the mind of the opponent that just don't push onto us.
Wow, it's so true indeed. I mean, left speechless, and that is what I am, because the way WGNRC is playing this game and the cards that they're playing in this game, they are just playing to perfection to be able to get those elimination points. They've already accumulated 9 elimination points, and this is a good approach coming in from the side of S9, where they've decided hold on. Yes, they have definitely decided to fall back from that fight, and that is a good approach coming in from their side, where WGNRC are just holding on that fort to the edge of the zone. And in the other side of the map, which is going to be towards the Miltup region, it is going to be Noob, who we did see earlier have a very good control of a compound, are taking on the fights against the players of Gremlin Storm as well. So for now, WGNRC are the ones leading the elimination chart with 9 points to themselves. And as we move on across, we do have the zone shifting away from so many of these teams.
That shifts away, a hard shift going completely into the favor. And in the lab where Savage Esports are present, I told you, Brother, this is going to be a big bloodbath, big blood shed into the favor. And seems like the gatekeep situation is certainly was favoring JyanMaara until and unless they are being completely pinned down by a lot of team, because from the southeastern side we can see a color splash. JyanMaara are being completely pulled down by 7Cs with the flying cars, with the tantrums that has been completely thrown down. Suzanne goes down and JyanMaara on the verge of extinction. Before that happen, hold on to the breath. I just spoke it too soon. Gunner comes in and rescues his teammate.
Well, what a perfect approach that was from the side of Gunner. Just out of nowhere, jumps in along and takes that point all the way through and confirms the elimination of the team altogether itself. Now, if you look onto the mini-map, we do have DRS utilizing that position and slowly but cheekily moving away from the fight that took place with JyanMaara, where JyanMaara, of course, are going to be busy getting that revival done. On the other front, on our screens, we do have Gremlin Storm taking on a little bit of burst control damage against the team, but as of now the elimination is definitely not being confirmed for their side. In fact, there is going to be a little bit of a turmoil situation for them, because they are down to a 2-man squad now. So that's going to be Kapshi and Rafat, the 2-man remaining from the side of Gremlin, and they are also quite spread across. If we look onto the mini-map, the man in pink, Kapshi, just moving on to get as close to his teammate as he possibly can. On the other front, JyanMaara, now having confirmed all the revivals of their team, are holding on that fort and getting that loot acclimated for themselves. But once again, into the center of the zone, as you were mentioning earlier, SA can have a real good game, and the savage approach from the side of SA, they're in the perfect position to be able to showcase that sort of a domination.
And that smiley, that's a real sarcasm. That's a real sarcasm. That yes, you smile for now, but yes, you are going to be, the death is eternal, right? The death is eternal, and that is going to be something that will be touching these feet of these lads pretty soon. We don't really know which team is going to be excelling the best in this one, but for the moment, seems like 2RGR is in the same form that they continued in the yesterday's gameplay. They are holding the edge of the circle, not allowing any team to prosper and flourish into this area. But as soon as it happens, they just were pretty much unconscious about all the situation, and Noob Alliance comes up into the fight and says hi hello to them. Yeta going down, that means he needs the revival. But as soon as the circle has already made a shift, revival is a tough case, but I guess the zone has already stopped. And with the help of some smokes, pretty much the revival can be the case. But still, the eastern edge is completely jam-packed with at least 3-4 teams still in the lobby, still in the position. TRZ can really have a good game. And the Gangsters, you look at them. Blah 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 was completely overshadowed in the very first 6 minutes of the game, and from the moment DE have just been working upon on their positioning, and if they just hold on to their position for next 3 to 4 minutes or maybe 5 till the time they just wait for the lobby to decrease in the numbers, DE can really have a good chance. And there we have it. They have started things off, but Smokey goes down, a knock comes in from different directions.
Absolutely, and here we do have the Gangsters holding on that fort and definitely confirming those elimination points for themselves. But Noob has been brought down to just a one-man squad. That's going to be Lucifer, the one-man army as of now from the side of Noob Alliance. Definitely not the kind of fort that they wanted to hold in this game. They did have a decent start, but it seems like that is going to be the end of them, because far, far away, it is going to be Savage who are keeping a keen eye towards the audio cues that they're getting and definitely chiming away those elimination points for themselves. And with that, we move on through to the team that we wanted to see a comeback from. That is going to be none other than 2RGR, who are being pincered down thanks to the approach from the Gangsters, and that is going to be Ayush just definitely reigning in supreme against the players of 2RGR.
Oh yes, no two is doubt about that, and they are also segregating the loot among themselves. DRS going down has been eliminated, not only going down, completely pulled down. Venom Legends going up into the fight, just not allowing C9, not any opening, no breathing space, whatever the case, no respect shown. That's the way Venom Legend plays. But C9 anyway, they has to sneak in. If they make a longer route rotation, they can just go downtown towards the southern side. But 2RGR, there's just no stopping. But Ryu needs to understand that there is someone waiting from the right hand side, and they are also the one that's trying to get the situation. Rafat can just go down, and if he goes down before he does, Rafat just connects the final knock onto the face of it, and he goes down. RGR gets eliminated, and now C9 Esports, after patching themselves up, they will be trying to make a push. But before that happens, some grenades and molotovs are being randomly used by Steel Shot in order to not make a close-in. By Frypan from a far away direction gets a knock onto Domi, and I guess that's the opening, that's the cue that Nightwing and the other players are waiting. Just go push and eliminate this team out.
Absolutely. With that, one final player of Gremlin Storm, who we just saw take a very good fight, has been brought down to his knees and being eliminated as well. With that, we've got Donny being eliminated thanks to the play zone, and along with that, Nightwing's approach in all this fight. A clean fight, absolutely, with Steel Shot and Nightwing from the side of Venom Legends eliminating S9. Now, we've got 8 teams remaining, but in all of that, WGNRC, I mean, this team has been absolutely ferocious in today's game. This game, rather, is what I would say, because they not only brought down 2 squads, they also brought down DRS, and now the aggression just keeps on pushing on along, where Amar is just one by one, bringing down the players of JyanMaara, and this is not looking good, but...
He just missed the mark. Blotter. Had just been one more knock in his favor. He could have done that one before in this situation, but nothing to worry about. He has other teammates present in the same vicinity. Will be coming in, and 14 elimination, the same sort of domination that Savage Esports showed in the very first game. How much this number may increase, we don't know. That completely depends on the aggression that NRC will be making in course for the next 5 to 6 minutes. They still have a lot of players in the lobby. Paradox can just be the next one to go down. But before that happened, since Doom was pretty uncautious about this all thing, pretty casual approach has been taken down. But as soon as he goes into that 1v1 fight, we all know Paradox are not good, so good, that good, with their gunfight and approach, and that just leaves down to Gold lead, the last player standing. But the damage has also been dealt on NRC.
Well, damage definitely has been dealt to them because they've lost Doom in this entire fight, and in doing so, they have also eliminated Paradox all the way through. So NRC looking really phenomenal right now with 16 eliminations, a 3-man squad with 6 teams remaining, pushing on their luck. But look at XBROTHERS' side. They've got all 4 players alive. TRZ have all 4 players alive. Now, this is where maybe TRZ could utilize the opportunity to be able to take the fight to the face of WGNRC, because they do have the comfort of the zone. But let's not forget, we do have the Savages in the arena as well. But as soon as I point that out, it seems like WGNRC are like, hey, wait, Flora dude, we're right here. We are definitely not going to be allowing Savage to take this glory away from us. And in doing so, Venom Legends and WGNRC seem like they have brought down Savage all the way down to 1-man squad. I was just pointing out they had a 4-man army still remaining, but I guess not for long.
Definitely, I guess the lobby has actually cracked the code, but now's the time when Gangsters are just trying to excel themselves up. Sushti still trying to find out the player, and Nightwing unaware of the
Wow.
situation. Location pretty much anonymous. Again 1v1 fight. Sushti takes one more knock again. Looks pretty unstoppable at this moment, and RC are in complete annihilation. 20 elimination already onto the name. Venom Legends becomes the next team to get eliminated, and we still have, if we reduce all these 3 players, 11 players all in all. But I guess that was the opening that Gangster were waiting for. But there we have it, one more player shutting them down. They are just looking unstoppable at this moment.
Well, not for long though, because after all, there will be the Gangsters around in the arena to be able to dominate against the players of WGNRC. But boy, oh boy, they walk away with 20 eliminations, 8 placement points, 28 points from one single game, and now we've got 3 teams remaining. We've got TRZ with 0 eliminations, and there we go. That wonderful smiley does come on across, because that is the gameplay that NRC has showcased, and that is what the players of NRC are doing right now. That, you know what, dude, even though we get eliminated at 4th, it don't matter. We've already got so many points. Incredible.
Almost double of what they are getting the placement points, more than double, 20 finish point. But now we are just down to 11 players, 3 teams still alive. XBROTHER still in contention. A big, huge split coming in, and that split is actually working in the favor, because if you look at the minimap, the zone has completely gone to the favor of XBROTHERs. This is a probable tempted chicken dinner for XBROTHERs. I'm telling you, Blotter.
Could it
if
be
they
a
play
second?
their card
Could it be
well,
a second?
this can be the one. This can be the one, certainly.
I mean, they've got all 4 players. They do have the information, as DE Gangsters are making a lot of noise and ruckus as they try and get into the comfort of the zone. And in doing so, we already do see that the numbers advantage is going to be in favor of XBROTHERS. But TRZ, dude, they are playing it very cheeky in this game. I mean, they are so very quiet, but not for long. It seems like as soon as I point that out, TRZ are going to be in the kill feed as they take the fight to the face of XBROTHERS. And in doing so, it is going to be XBROTHERS taken on 2 teams all together at once. There is going to be TRZ as well as Smokey from the side of the Gangsters, who has been brought down as well. So an equal fight is what this has turned out to be, where a 3-man squad is what XBROTHERS are left with, as TRZ were able to completely stop Dominic in his track.
And gives one more down. Atomics, Mad Cat with one grenade onto the face of it. Venom going down. XBROTHERS is in a complete contention. The vicious cycle now starts, where if you're still in a good position, you're just losing out on the numbers. But Utsarga has been spotted down. If he goes down, Gangsters will be completely pulled out of the lobby. That brings down to all the 3 players, I guess, standing from the sides of TRZ. But an extremely splendid spray coming in. A disciplined one from XBROTHER. But a 2v3 situation needs to be taken care of.
Well, Faisal definitely did bring that face all the way off, of course, of Mad Cat. But now that 2v3 situation where Elite is so far away, Faisal is right up into the vicinity of Mamba's face, where Red FPS is definitely holding the fort in the background. And Atomic is going to be able to get that smoke wall covered and give the revival to Mad Cat as well. So a 4v2 situation is what we're looking at in a couple of seconds. And this is where TRZ have definitely reigned in supreme, but nothing taken away from XBROTHERS gameplay. Previous game, they got a chicken dinner. This game, they're getting a decent amount of placement points, as they are already on the 2nd, if nothing else. So that is going to confirm them those 12 points, and they were on the 6th spot. So top 8 looking pretty comfortable for their side. But TRZ, dude, they have played the cheekiest game that I have seen any team do. I mean, they were so quiet till the time we had 5 teams remaining. They had all 4 players alive, but they were just not wanting to step into the arena.
That buggy pretty much invited one Molotov to come in. The number has already been reduced to the situation again. Some shots are being peppered and hounded by Atomic. I told you this had to be the XBROTHERS chicken, but the way TRZ has tried to snatch that chicken from the front of their mouth, this is looking good for TRZ. All the 3 players accumulated the same position out in the open, has been spotted down. Brings one more knock, that brings the only player standing, but seems like his location is pretty much anonymous to all these players, but he tried to give some shots, failed it drastically. TRZ getting the first chicken for themselves, and what a game for them. What a game for them. 6 elimination, 923 total damage, 21 total points, and look at where they are standing at the 3rd.
They have moved up in the world, mate. They've got the 3rd spot for themselves. TRZ Esports, a very consistent play being showcased from their side yesterday as well as today. And that's the reason why they are there on the 3rd spot with 6 eliminations. Total 21 points, 923 damage is what this team was able to dish out in the third game of day number 2. But again, we still have 2 more games remaining. And well, this can be anybody's day, because as of now we've got new teams. As I was mentioning before this game started, yesterday we had Savage, Venom and DRS, the only 3 teams taking chicken dinner. But on day number 2 it is a complete different affair. We've got Noob Alliance taking the first chicken dinner, XBROTHERS taking the second game, and now we've got DRS Esports. What an amazing play. What an amazing play. I mean, nobody would have anticipated this sort of a day. But again, I mean, I'm happy. I'm definitely happy that we've got things like this showcasing on day number 2, because that makes day number 3 that much more exciting to look forward to, because you just don't know. One good game and these teams are jumping from that 10th position, 12th position all the way into the top 8.
Exactly. Today has been a complete day of topsy-turvy. The ups and down has been the one. Just imagine TRZ slipping from top 8 and then making a comeback straight in the top 3. That's something that today has all been about. We talk about the performance that we had from the Sri Lankan team. 20 finishes, if I'm not wrong, for WG and RC till the time they were eliminated, and 8 placement points, 28 completely different off track. So you just cannot bet upon any one team and you can say, no, this is a passive team. Have been completely scratchy about Paradox. We don't even know that in the next game they just might have a complete bonker of a start. That can be the case, because till the moment, till now, we didn't really realize that WG and RC could play this well, really. But let's just see on the top players of this match. But before that, the most valuable player of this match, and let's see who is gonna be. It's gonna be Amar from the sides of WG and RC. 6 elimination, 1109 damage, 23 minute 16 seconds of survival time, 403 healing done, 5 assists also done. A complete team game performance, a complete jam pack.
Absolutely. I mean, the team, the players, they were on a momentum roll in this game, WG and RC. The way they were able to just completely pinch it down team after team, right? I mean, it's not even that they were taking down players or making third-party situations. They were taking on the head-on fights and converting them into their favor without losing a single player of their own. So that is where you know the synergy counts, and that synergistic play, the momentum just pushed on along to get the points working in this team's favor. And this is definitely going to be helping their cause in the storyboard. Same can be said for XBROTHERS as well, because previous game they got a chicken dinner. This game they're sitting on the 2nd position. So definitely a lot of points for them. On the 6th position is what we saw XBROTHERS. Maybe this time around they'll jump up. But with that, let's move on and have a look at the other players that outshone in this game number 3 of day 2.
Everyone from the sides of NRC part 1. So 6 elimination, and then we have Zen with 733 total damage, 4 elimination, 5 for Ayush Gangsters. They lost out to blah 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 in the very first half of the game, but then from then onwards they really had those positioning points going in, and this was the team, if you remember, that had the small little full stop onto the aggression with which NRC was playing by the time.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, if we talk about the conversion rate from the side of WG and RC, 6 eliminations, 635 damage. So very much on the ball, on the park. Same can be said for Ayush as well. 5 eliminations, 557 damage. Alongside these stats, let's have a look at how many grenade kills did we have in this game, because there was a lot of utilities being utilized. So let's move on along and have a look at the match summary. We had 2 grenade eliminations, the lowest total healing ever in this 3-day saga that we're part of.
Definitely. I mean, in all these 8 matches that we have witnessed till now, 5,458, I guess that's the least that we have seen, and because of that, we got to see a lot of elimination. 57, knock 69, airdrops looted 3, 26 total revivals done, and 256 meter longest distance kill. Elimination that we get to see, that was from Delta from the sides of DRS. So all in all, a very good game. But yes, certainly the number has certainly dwindled down from 9,000 in the last match to Erangel. Whenever we come to Erangel, it's a game of randomness. But let's just have a quick look of the match ranking from this match itself. That 28, yes, it was for somewhere down the line for the team, that WG and RC. But 12, the team who came second just had the 3 finish point, and just because of that, they are the 4th team in terms of the total point that was secure. So 28 for WG, TRZ 21, Gangsters 16, 15 for XBROTHERS. Venom Legends also having a real good game. So today Venom Legends has been pretty much consistent apart from yesterday's gameplay.
Absolutely, but the team that is not being consistent is going to be Savage Esports. I mean, this team, day number 1, they were on a roller coaster ride and taken us along with them on that roller coaster ride, along with the viewers, of course, where every single game that they were part of pretty much compared to, I mean, today's game, it is a completely different team today. As we move on through to the second page, now let's see what sort of a difference are we going to be looking at. Now, this is where we do see Paradox on the 11th position, 2RGR finding themselves on the 10th position. So again, I mean, these teams, they are, I mean, Paradox, 2RGR, you know, they're walking away with okay points from one game to the next, but they need to do better if they want to be in the top 8. Same can be said for Seal9 as well.
From here onwards, if Seal9 Esports don't perform in the next match, I guess that will be not the exact curtains. You still have 5 matches left, but it will be pretty much difficult for them, because just imagine teams like WG and RC that was on 11th position before the match started, they really have started getting good games. 2RGR can get any one good game from all these matches itself. But let's have a quick look on this overall ranking, and let's have a clear picture of where and at which place who stands. So we have 107 for DRS Gaming, still the same. With Savage Esports at 98, TRZ have made an entry at the top 3, 84. NRC have made an entry. So I told you, NRC at 11th before this match, and NRC after this match, a complete paradigm shift. XBROTHERS at 5th position, 76. Not a lot of difference between 84 of TRZ and 62 of ElementriX. Just the 22 total point difference. And I would really keen to see from 9 to 16 what sort of difference is there on the second half of the chart border.
Absolutely, mate, because again, as you so perfectly mentioned, 7th and 8th position, we've got Venom Legends and ElementriX respectively sitting at that 62 marks. Along with that, as we talk about the second page is where things are going to get even more crazier, because again, you talk about that one good game, right? And that is what this time around was showcased from the side of WG and RC. And one good game, they pushed themselves all the way, and solidifying their position in the top 8 is going to definitely be working for them. But the second page, now this is where quite a lot of difference is being showcased in terms of the gameplay that we anticipated. I mean, talk about the Gangsters, we've got the likes of blah 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 in that. Seal9, I mean, it's just incredible but absolutely ludicrous turn of events in this tournament.
Definitely, and I don't really want to say, but it shouldn't be that. Like Noob Alliance still getting one chicken and getting left out, because it's the only team on the second half of the chart that's still getting a chicken. Not enough, not sufficient enough to find themselves in the top 8. That completely shows that they are lacking severely in the consistency. And not only them, we are also having real good trouble for the Seal9. I'm calling it real good, good, because somewhere down the line in patches, yes, Seal9 has performed it to perfection, but somewhere down the line, Seal9 Esports is not looking the same team that we have witnessed in the past. Yes, the names are same, the players are same, but not in the same mental states. Paradox still loving the same bottom spot with total 20 points after the end of this 8 matches. But let's have a look at the schedule for the moment. The next game, obviously it's going to be played on the map of Sanhok, and the last game will be on the map of Erangel. The day started things off with Noob Alliance getting a chicken. XBROTHERS followed them next to back-to-back Bangladeshi chicken. Today, in sort of Nepali domination has been lacking.
Oh, that's a good call, dude. That's a real good call. Well, let's jump directly into the game itself with the flight path that has already been taken on and over. So we shall see which side are we going to expect the fight on this map of Sanhok. Now, yesterday, one brilliant thing that we did notice is that heal battle stat has been lost from these teams. And that is a good thing. That is definitely a good thing on the map of Sanhok, because we want to be able to see fights. And those fights is what we're all here rooting and waiting for. But in doing so, we want to be able to see some comebacks as well. And yeah, the comebacks is what we're kind of a little missing from the teams. I mean, especially there have been good comebacks like Noob Alliance, XBROTHERS, TRZ Esports making some real phenomenal plays. But I'm talking about, Seal9, teams who are on that second page like the Gangsters. These teams, I mean, they need to do better.
Definitely, they need to do it better. Gangsters, pretty much experienced lineup, blah, blah, blah. We have been all knowing which team he has been played for and what sort of glory he has brought his home. He needs to be better prepared. We still have 2 games left for today's and tomorrow's 5 gameplay itself. We have also seen that one good game can just be the one. But hold on. We have some heat wave coming out from the sides of Bootcamp. Seal9 getting the important knock and finish in the favor, and yesterday Gremlin Storm and Seal9 went head to head, and we already know the storyline of yesterday's gameplay. Let's see what we have for today.
Absolutely, we've got Gremlin Storm's Rafat right here trying to push on to try and take on a fight to the face of Seal9 Esports, where his team is definitely quite spread out. On the other front, or rather on the outside of the bootcamp itself, we've got NRZ keeping a very keen eye in all of this. I mean, they're just eagerly going to be waiting as to whichever team jumps out of bootcamp, we're definitely pouncing on them like a tiger and a lion. And in doing so, it is going to be Kings of BD taking on the players of 2RGR, a team that showcased a wonderful comeback yesterday in the previous, in the final 2 games. 2RGR this time around, day number 2 is just well, running away from them. They started on the 6th spot in the overall storyboard, moved all the way down to 12th, and now they are just falling and falling, and it seems like a very difficult climb from their side. Because again, I mean, we've got 7 total games remaining, right? 5 from tomorrow, 2 today. This is the second last one, and then we've got the final one. So you definitely do not want to leave the day sticking around, 14th, 15th position. You want to be able to jump up so as to be able to give yourself at least that possibility of a revival in tomorrow's 5 games.
Definitely. That certainly has to be the case. Nothing to leave for tomorrow. Do whatever you have for today. That's a remolded proverb that we all have been hearing in our early days. But let's just see what sort of thing that we have to offer to us. NRC also in the vicinity, and seems like Gremlin Storm has a strong belief that yes, someone is hiding behind that small little crate. It's actually a container, but yes, the grenade misses a mark by a long mark, but Doom's direction has already been spotted down, and Doom, he just can go boom at any point from different direction. Those synchronized grenade every time, that just lit up my eye. But Susti has successfully taken 1 knock. I guess the revival will be the case. But by the time the knock comes in, it seems that Gremlin Storm now knows where exactly Susti is hiding.
Absolutely, they've got the information, and that is exactly what they're going to be now relying upon to get that information converted into an elimination, hopefully, because another option that they do have is to be able to walk away from the fight altogether itself. It's just the first 3 minutes. They should be happy with that first elimination that they've already gotten, because one thing that's working for Sisti is the fact that he is on an inclined approach, right? He is on top of that hill, and that definitely works in his favor. But the other trouble is the fact that he is a one-man squad as of now, and he does not really have his teammates to be able to give him a lot of cover fire if he would need that. So right now, this is the perfect approach that Gremlin are making, and that is to maybe just fall back. We can see Rafat and Badrave keeping a very keen eye towards this exact side of the mountain, but they are not opening up. They are not coming into the open or wanting to take the fight, because they do realize that as soon as they do, Sisti has a better chance of taking them down before they are able to do so to Sisti itself. So a wonderful power play being showcased from the side of that team from Gremlin Storm. On the other front, as we talk about the boot camp, the initial fight that we did take place, it was Seal9 getting that first elimination. But as of now, it seems like boot camp is all to themselves, and nothing, or rather no team, is going to be contesting that from them for any moment. But yep, as this game progresses along, things are again taking a slow dive as of now. We did start off with an early aggression showcase between Seal9 and Gremlin, but now they have taken a slow, low-key dive, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, first 5 minutes, you can very well anticipate things to kind of calm down as you progress on in the map of Sanhok, but you do know for sure that once the things start going haywire, the third-party situations, the fights are just going to be all across the board. Now, right here, we did see WGNRC have a wonderful previous game, but this time around, they've already lost Doom down to a 3-man squad. They seem to be wanting to move away from the bootcamp region, and as they do, they're getting closer and closer to what seemed like TRZ, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll get to see. We'll get to see if we get to see the map and Observer have enough of generosity on us. But you were talking about the third-party situation. Yes, WG and RC tried to do the third-party situation into this, where Gremlin Storms were on the back foot, but just lost Doom into the cause. And if you remember, Doom was also the one in the last game itself, where he was lost pretty early, so he has to be pretty careful. But yes, as you perfectly mentioned, it's TRZ into the back line, somewhere down the line in the same vicinity, with a lot of players, a lot of teams actually congregating and having a meetup, a rendezvous in the area of boot camp. We have JyanMaara, we have XBROTHER, we have everyone just coming out of nowhere.
Absolutely, and look at the western, or rather, sorry, eastern side where we've got 7C. I mean, they have the entire eastern flank to themselves of the map, even though they're not in the zone comfort, but I mean, they are looking pretty comfortable and confident the way they're progressing on. I mean, Precarious all by himself towards the Syria docks, just getting those wonderful loots for himself, and again, that is working for them. But we shall see once the zone moves away, what sort of rotation are they going to be making. Now, moving into the zone itself, we have the wonderful team of Savages who are calling Paradise Resort their home as of now, and north of that position is going to be Tatmok, where we've got Venom Legends. So all the teams that are not in the center have a very wonderful approach to the map, because there aren't many teams around them to contest. But in the center, where we do have so many of these teams, where again we've got Gremlin, we've got TRZ, we've got Seal9, so that this is where the fights are taking place, whereas all the other teams, they're just chilling, getting that perfect loot for themselves, and then they're going to be jumping into the battleground with quite a lot of swag.
Exactly. Seal9 still pretty much sticking to the boot camp area, and they sort of circle. We just got to see the map when the observers showed us, but on the backhand side, seems like XBROTHERS have been getting a lot of beating. Fazil goes down, TRZ coming up into the fight, Amar goes down, NRCWG, the team that was looking pretty phenomenal, ferocious, as you like to say, in the last match. 20 finishes were what that they were able to secure, and this time Doom going down and Amar has been knocked down. I just hope and I just wish they recovered too fast for them, because TRZ and all these teams are just waiting for the comeback story, and they are just scripting. And if they find you in that line, in that vicinity, and if you're acting as an impediment, they'll just thrash you like anything.
Absolutely, well, because that is what the game is all about. This is the battleground, and that is what you are here to do. Just completely thrash your opponents as soon as you possibly can. Now, Susti waiting on that flank for such a long time. It's been 8.5 minutes into the game, but sadly he is just stuck, and so are the players of Gremlin along with Seal9. And as we move on to the zone map itself, we do have into the outside vicinity, we can see XBROTHERS slowly and steadily getting closer to the boot camp region as well. And this is where we can definitely expect a third-party situation being showcased, maybe from the side of XBROTHERS. For now, all the other teams slowly but surely moving into the comfort of the zone. Down south, we can see DRS making a wonderful entry into the zone. Same can be said for the eastern flank, where 7C are jumping into the arena. Paradox is looking pretty comfortable towards the northwestern front, and of course towards the northern side, toward Tatmok, is Venom Legends, who are already in the comfort of the zone. So every team, as of now, in the first 10 minutes of the game, have had a very perfect time to be able to get that loot sorted for themselves. But now, as we progress on from the first zone to the next, as this zone starts constricting, this is where the fights are going to be pushed. And look at that beautiful map of Sanhok.
No, definitely, we have the trace of boot camp in the heartland of this zone that will be making a push, that will certainly making a shape into the next second. And there we have it, completely on the northern side. And this is where the game of 2RGR comes in. This is where the game of Paradox comes in. How, just imagine, the circle again shifts on the eastern side. I hope that does. If that do, I don't really know what sort of rotation Kings of BD and 2RGR are going to do, because Hazer is the one that is just waiting for them. But hold on, bootcamp is still being contested by a lot of teams. I don't really know what sort of thing are being actually left out there. But there we have it again, the map.
Oh yes, again, I mean, you talk about that perfect approach that you just spoke about, right, from the side of 2RGR, as well as another team that is maybe, again, if that is all conversation, that is speculation, if the zone moves on towards the eastern flank as of now. But that we'll come back to that conversation, because again, going back to the boot camp, because this is the only place that fights are taking place on this map of Sanhok. In the 11 minutes, it is going to be C9, it is going to be Gremlin Storm. Out in the back angles, there's going to be NRC, and close in proximity is also going to be XBROTHERS and TRZ as well. So quite a lot of teams around in the vicinity of this boot camp, but not a lot of fights that are taking place from these teams as of now.
From the minute go, we have been getting to see a lot of fights, and now since Rafat is getting a bit impatient, has been getting a lot of shots from different directions. He need to patch himself up, but Zaki is also in a precarious position. If you look at that on the backhand side, I'm still worried. I'm still curious. Why isn't anyone getting the backhand side of a boot camp? That's pretty an obvious choice for any team. They have been listening a lot of shots. Sanhok is not a big map as Miramar that you don't get to listen a lot of shots. Anyways, 250 meter to 220 meter, these bullet shots are going to be, you are going to be able to hear in your headphones. But far away, we are getting to see DRS Gaming facing the wrath of the zone. Along with that, 7Cs are also trying to make a push. But as soon as the blue eats up 7Cs, they will be making a move into the open. And if they do, DRS are just waiting to welcome them.
Absolutely. I mean, both these teams, we saw them making a rotation to get into the comfort of the zone from the southern side, and as they did so, it is going to get a bit difficult for both these teams, because DRS were able to get a knock onto the side of 7C, and same was the case for DRS as well, as they took a knock as well. But it seems like now 7C are going to have to be pretty careful, because DRS is pushing as a squad and going to be able to confirm those knocks into eliminations and get those eliminations confirmed for themselves. And that's not it. Delta is going to push on along to try and get as many elimination points as he possibly can. With the 2 players remaining from the side of 7C, he is not wanting to back down. But thankfully, the buggy that did favor 7C is going to be able to help them to get away from the crosshairs of Delta for now.
Definitely, they just escaped death. Precious gone down. Memo has been left alone on his own. Won't be able to do much. Has been completely finished off. DRS Gaming getting 2 finish onto the name, but where have they headed to after this fight? That's the question. 820 meter is a big distance in the game of Sanhok. There are a lot of slithery snakes that will be prone down once they make a move into the zone. Yes, they do have a buggy, by the help of which with Rules and Rebel will make a move, and that's the duo that has been pretty much playing together. We also get to see the bike that can be helpful while traversing, I guess. Till they reach the edge, they will be using all these vehicles, but not beyond that. Not beyond that, because we have seen yesterday how Savage has been blown up.
Exactly. That is so true, mate. And that is something that, of course, DRS very well knows. I mean, these are experienced players, so they know that that sort of class 101, they cannot make that sort of a mistake. On the other front, as we move on towards the zone and the map itself, we do have the side of Savage Esports leaving Paradise and now getting to the southern compounds that we find towards Paradise Resort. And alongside them, we do also have JyanMaara that are looking pretty neat as of now. But again, I mean, the zone moving away, definitely not going to be able to help any of these teams. There was a lot of contestation down onto that boot camp region, but now the zone moving away is going to be a little bit of a troublesome situation. And onto that mock region, we have Venom Legends slowly but surely damaging quite a lot of pride for the side of the Gangsters, where Ayush has been lost to the cause.
Definitely, yes. In the last match, it was blah blah blah. This time, Ayush, DE has been in a perennial problem of losing out certain players whenever they enter into the map, be it Erangel, Sanhok. The same is the case. One player goes out pretty early, and now blah 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 this time goes for a rotation on the edges of the circle, just trying to scout out the areas pretty much close to where Venom Legends are present. The use of DMRs into Sanhok we have not seen a lot, but at any point, at any time, that can come in. But hold on, 2RGR seems like has completely engulfed a complete squad named as Noob Alliance. The team that got a chicken in the game has been completely shown out of the lobby. No respect given, and that's the way 2RGR Esports play. We have seen the sort of comeback that they do, and I don't really know. There is something with 2RGR Esports and the Game 4 and Game 5. There is something.
True. I mean, it's just Sanhok. I think the Sanhok's greenery just revives them and rejuvenates them to be able to play their level best, and that's exactly what they do. Because right here, they have been able to eliminate an entire squad, confirm the 4 eliminations for themselves, and this is the revival story that maybe can be anticipated from the side of 2RGR. that was showcased yesterday as well. On the other front, as we look at Savage Esports, they did move away from the Paradise Resort's comfort, went on down towards the southern side, but again they found themselves at the edge of the zone as the zone constricted. So now the Savage Esports, they are going to have to play a very passive approach and wait for the other teams to come into their crosshairs, because they need those points. DRS is definitely accumulating quite a lot of points every single game and slowly and steadily getting away with that first position. So Savage Esports definitely wants to be able to capitalize on every little nook and corner where they can get the information on their opponents. On the other side, seems like Seal 9 are also part of the fight, where they do take the fight to the face of Kings of BD, and a knock has been confirmed, but elimination point has not yet been given. On the other front, it is NRC Sisti, who we saw earlier in the game being so very patient, like 8-10 minute marker. He was just waiting to the south of that boot camp, and that's the reason why he has no utility whatsoever at all. No bandages, absolutely nothing, and he's going to have to play this very passive approach right here against the crawling approach from TRZ's players.
Oh no, pretty close. By the time they need to realize that there is one more snake just waiting for them, he's just letting everyone to cross by. He's just letting everyone to cross by. TRZ, all the three players goes in and goes out. Atomic seems like he might have just spotted someone, but no, the grasses, the length of the grasses are pretty much higher that we ought to expect. And now it's the time that he just might backstab them. Now they're running,
but
out in the open. He's just waiting. He doesn't even have a helmet, and that's the reason he's not finding himself in the fight. He will be just waiting, and he will wait. He has nothing, no first aid, whatever the case, because we remember, if you remember, NRC and WG NRC was the team that was stuck in boot camp for a long time, and I guess that's the reason. But before he goes down, he needs to take at least one.
Ooh, this is going to be very, very close. This is like one of those moments. Oh no. Oh no.
Don't throw punch, bro.
No. He is definitely just going to be able to take that. And Mad Cat has been brought down. With that, elimination will be confirmed for him as well. And along with that, at least that one elimination point has been confirmed for the side of WG, NRC. And in doing so, Sisti will be given away his point as well. So a good trade being showcased from this dude. But again, I mean, that is something that ends up happening to so many teams. And along with that, hold on, XBROTHERS getting eliminated in this game on the 15th spot. So definitely not having a good game from the side of XBROTHERS. But yeah, going back to the conversation, I was just about to point out that when you jump into a very passive approach in the first few minutes of the game itself, as we saw Sisti do, right, against the players of Gremlin and Seal 9 were in the boot camp. I mean, that is the moment that you want to be able to capitalize and get as much loot as you possibly can.
Definitely.
But now you were in such a passive approach that you cannot really do much. All that time that you were supposed to be looting has been gone. And now the zone's caught up to you. And, well, then it's just what we saw happen to Sisti. But thankfully, at least, he was able to get that one elimination point.
Very much out in the open. ElementriX, hi, hello, those two knock, boom, Dante, but no, he should have at least taken one more down. ElementriX were out in the open, but I don't see any other player out in the open, because if you look at the small little mini-map on the right-hand side of the screen, all those yellow people, all his friend has gone by, and ElementriX, he was not even able to take at least one finish point in his name. All Dante can do is just scroll and just weep, or maybe bang his head. And let's try in another game. Next game is what his opponent will be saying to him on the face of it.
But you know, looking at the zone, I'm having a it seems like a good approach from the side of Paradox could be taken in this game, because the zone is definitely favoring them. They find themselves in the center. They've got the compounds as well, and they are in a very good spot. So they should be able to accumulate decent amount of points is what I'm anticipating from the side of Paradox. But again, they are going up against some heavyweight champions, and in that doing so, heavyweight champions, a team that got 20 eliminations in the previous game, has been eliminated in the name of NRC, thus leaving us with 13 teams, 37 players alive, 20 minutes into the Sanhok game.
Definitely. And we still have, as you perfectly mentioned, 37 players. Savage Esports. This time they have not done that mistake. One wrong peak, Hershey's goes down. Savage Esports, the hype is really real, but seems like in couple of games they have been really perishing down pretty well. JyanMaara Esports up against the players of DRS, two Nepali teams going head-to-head. Snipe Whitey again has been thrown out of the lobby, and if you remember, DRS were having a tough time out of the zone. Sanchir spots him, takes one down. But JyanMaara is also a team that is on the backhand side, and Soulless realizes that there is someone who was trying to steal the kill, and Sanchir has spotted out. Will be taken care of, but JyanMaara approach in this match is looking pretty phenomenal. They're just not overextending, and whenever they realize, whenever they're sensing the threat, they're just regrouping with all the players alive.
Absolutely, and they definitely have been able to decently confirm 2 elimination points for themselves, and same is the case for Savage Esports as well, as they find themselves in this wonderful compound of their own on the other front. As we move on down towards the players of TRZ as they were making that rotation, seems like Savage Esports has other things in mind, and they're definitely not going to allow that. A perfect knock has been confirmed, but elimination has not been given to the side of Savage Esports. On the other side, ElementriX making a rotation through the water. Liquid has been caught in the liquid that he was trying to float across, but seems like a revival very much is in store for him because his teammate is very, very close. But on the other side, Paradox, dude, you had the information, you had a perfect setup in this circle, but it seems like that has been given away because of the aggression being showcased from the side of Yeta. The day started off, we were talking about this dude from 2RGR, and here he is proving his worth for his team.
Definitely, and Kazi is just moving up front. We got to see what other player has to offer to us. We still have other player from the sides of 2RGR out in the open, but here we have it. Just trying to take up the fight. G1 at least need to take up this fight and need one, because it's the enemy, the opponent moving out in the blues, and he is pushing on to you. You need to better stop him. Out of all the blues fighting against all the odd. However, anyhow, Kazi makes it to the zone. Anyways, he doesn't even have any first aid, just the 4 bandages. Now Yeta throws a molly onto the face of Paradox players, and now since the trajectory is revealed, they know where 2RGR are present, and from far away, Goldie finally gets one knock.
Well, you know, Ankit, we were talking about how the meta has changed, where you don't see a lot of heal battles taking place. Well, it seems like 2RGR have exactly that in mind. They've got Rage out in the back angles with almost about 19 medkits is what I saw him with.
Maybe they have listened to you. Maybe they could have
that's what they're planning.
Stream and could have heard what Coach Blotter has to say to us. Let's try this thing.
Again, I mean, as long as it works for you, mate, that's all, right? You know, you want to be able to get placement points, you better be able to do that. And with that, it is going to be Kazi brought down to his knee, and elimination confirmed. So Rage, the one final player from the side of 2RGR, is going to be trying to get that perfect heal battle for himself. With that, we've got 7 teams remaining. Savage have 4 elimination points. Para, look at them, dude. They've got 7 elimination points. So even though they did get a little off-centered because of the over-aggression being showcased from the side of 2RGR, they were able to accumulate decent amount for themselves. But as soon as I say that, it is going to be JyanMaara bringing down 1 player, thus leaving only 2-man squad for the side of Paradox. But they have had a good game as of now. Now the only option for Paradox is to try and stay alive for those placement points.
Definitely, they are just going it for the moment. Gremlin Storm getting eliminated. JyanMaara Esports, Suzanne still alive, and I told you JyanMaara is really having a good day today. But let's see if Savage Esports played to perfection or not. But for the moment, TRZ Sports just perished down with 2 elimination points to the names. Paradox is still surviving. They're still alive, and we'll have an eye on how the player who started having that heal battle, how far will he go?
Absolutely, we shall see if that will be able to help him or not. As of now, we can see Rage is just left with 2. And that is not going to be enough. We've got 5 teams remaining. Does not seem like any other team is going to be lost to the cause in the next 1 heal that he's being able to get. And yep, that's going to be it. Even though, I mean, look at the eliminations that they've been able to get, right? 9 eliminations along with the placement points working in the team's favor. So a decent approach, a decent Sanhok is what I can say for the side of 2RGR. And with that, he will be lost to the Blues. 4 teams remaining. In that, you've got Savage Esports getting the highest forecast for the chicken dinner because they have all 4 players. But Paradox sadly caught out into the blue. Definitely will not be allowed to jump into the comfort of the zone because JyanMaara, they were just waiting. And as soon as they push on from one team to the next, it is going to be Savage in the crosshairs of JyanMaara for now.
Don't tell me Hershey's stuck out here. He was trying to just jump out of this vehicle that is still parked in front of him, but he goes down. Hershey's out in the open. He has already spotted Soulless, and he knows where Soulless is positioned. He needs to keep the revival or either take down Suzanne first because Suzanne is pretty much low on his health. Mollies are being thrown just onto the face of it that no one comes out of the window. the revival is going to be the case. 5 players still in the vicinity, with Suzanne and Soulless up against 2 the 3 players of Savage Esports. Savage Esports are pretty much pinned, I would rather say, in all these compounds. And out in the open, we have JyanMaara Esports playing up. But seems like this pin position is still working for them. And the openness is certainly not working for JyanMaara.
Absolutely. For now, that definitely is going to be the case with these 2 teams remaining. We've got SA getting a 75% prediction. Seems like Savage Esports in the 3rd game of the day are definitely going to be able to get that chicken dinner away from the soulless player of JyanMaara. And this is going to be the end for JyanMaara indeed. And that is going to result in Savage getting a chicken dinner for themselves.
Definitely, Savage Esports finally after a long wait, they just get themselves up in what turned out to be a complete blown affair in the last Sanhok they played. They have really come this far. 16-13 damage, 10 elimination, and I've already seen whenever Savage Esports play their card well, they don't over-aggress. In the last Erangel itself, they were just playing pretty well unless it was just the prowess, the professional gameplay that which NRC came in. It was just not enough for them to handle that hotness that they came in. But this time, Savage Esports, if you remember, at one point it seemed like they could have gone in the open, and they didn't at that point. But this time, they really made it happen at the first position, snatching back and where they deserve to be.
Absolutely. They move on to that first position, jumping away from DRS's position. So that definitely did end up becoming a really good game for the side of Savage Esports. Throughout the day, we've been mentioning where has this team's aggression gone, and it seems like it's not the aggression that's missing. They were just hunkering down a little bit, letting the others believe that you've definitely understood our game, but that's not the case because they're back and they're swinging and rolling it through. With that, let's have a look at the MVP coming in from this 4th game of the day.
Definitely the hero of this match, none other than Soulless. Even though they were down on the numbers advantage, JyanMaara Soulless is the one. If you remember yesterday, Sanhok Soulless also was the one. If you remember that fight between JyanMaara and TRZ, where synchronized grenade was thrown in and TRZ was completely wiped out, Soulless was the one from JyanMaara who made the push, who made the call. He was leading from the front. This time he got 6 eliminations, 787 damage. Sanhok has certainly been his map.
Absolutely has been. This has definitely worked out in the team's favor, JyanMaara Esports' favor. And again, I mean, that is what we anticipated the team to be able to do. I mean, first day, yesterday, basically, we were talking about how JyanMaara is a known team and, of course, have a lot of experience. And that experience shows right here the way that they are playing the games from one game to the next. But with that, now we move on to the top players of this game. We do see Soulless from JyanMaara having a really good outing right here, but as we move on through from that to the second best, it is going to be Hershey from the side of Savage Esports with 436 damage but 6 eliminations. So seems like dude definitely stole a few kills here and there.
That's what we have in Sanhok every time. That's what definitely we have in Sanhok, and Hershey is at its best. Kazi again popping out his numbers. 4 elimination, 559 damage registered for his number, but finally we are getting to see someone from Seal 9. Senator this time with 3 elimination, 524 damage, survival time of 20 minutes, 55 seconds. Seal 9 Esports, now they are playing good in patches, but they have to collectively come up and excel in this map. One game still left.
True.
I guess the Erangel can be their dominant one.
Well, we shall see. But before we jump on to that, let's have a few more stats from the side of Sanhok as we move on to the summary of this map. And that is where we do have 58 eliminations that took place throughout this game with 61 total knocks and a total healing of 9,611. But alongside all of that, he still did have grenade eliminations as well. So that is a good stat to be able to jump in, especially on Sanhok.
Definitely. 9,611 healing done. I don't really know if there was ample amount of time. Is there ample amount of time? But because whenever I play Sanhok, it's either knock finish. You don't get a lot of time to get revived. But still, the players are trained enough to do so. 297 even in the game of Sanhok. If this is coming, certainly the players are relying on the DMR's meta and Utsarga this time from the sides of the Gangsters.
Absolutely, looking pretty neat in doing so. Definitely helping out his team as well, the Gangsters. But as we move on through to the match ranking, we do know who got the chicken dinner. It was Savage Esports with that 10 eliminations, 25 total points is what they accumulated, jumping all the way up to 10, to the first position. But with that, look at that team on the 5th, 7C Esports, going back to what they know best. Just play it safe, get those placement points, because that is also a consistent approach that will definitely help you in the overall ranking.
Definitely, whatever the case, there's no sort of competition that what sort of point do you have, what sort of point ratio do you have between placement and elimination. All you need to be is in the top 8. Whatever sort of way it has to be, with elimination, certain teams really rely upon. If you remember, 20 finish point for NRC, and in that just the 8 placement points. 7Cs has been consistently doing really well in this match itself, and 10 total points is going to be helping them solve their course. And so sooner or later, we'll get to see the overall ranking. Then we get to see, but before that, let's just head towards the 9 to 16. Completely an affair where Noob Alliance standing nowhere, 0. XBROTHERS 0, NRC. The last game, 28 total points, 1 in this. That's where the average gets pretty out of the equation.
So true, so very true indeed, and that is something that is definitely going to be hurting WGNRC's placement in the overall rankings. But along with that, ElementriX also not having a good outing in this one, as they were caught off guard while making that rotation, and thus we can see that they are only walking away with 2 elimination points and 1 placement point. DRS Gaming also not having a good outing, because again they held on to that blues for quite a long time, and as they made that rotation, 7C kind of damaged them a little bit, and then when they tried to get into the zone, well, we did see them hunker down thanks to, of course, JyanMaara and Savage's approach against them. With that, let's go on to the storyboard. We do know Savage Esports have moved all the way to the top, but how big a difference? Well, that is a difference. That is a
13.
big
Yes,
difference,
that is.
I would say.
That definitely is a 13-point difference. Somewhere down the line, might be hurting. DRS Gaming last 2 games hasn't been there. TRZ Esports still sticking to the 3rd position, and there we have it. JyanMaara at the 4th position. They were lacking somewhere down the line, but this Sanhok was really their game. WGNRC doing pretty well, pretty decent, but still no trace of the team that secured a good placement points in this match. If you remember, one player was doing the heal battle from the sides of 2RG. Still not to be traced, nowhere to be seen in the top 8. 7C is still holding strong, 67 total points, 9 matches. And after the 9 matches, still we have Venom Legends at 66. So top 8 looks pretty decent for the moment. Yes, it's the double point difference that has been created between Savage Esports and Venom Legends. But when we head towards 9 to 16, that's where the extra masala comes in. I'll be really waiting to see the 9 to 16, the second half of the chart. The bottom half of the chart, whatever way you like to call it. 65 is where ElementriX stands, 59 for 2RGR. Pretty close. Just the 6 point below ElementriX, and 7 point where the brothers were standing. Pretty much doable. Don't you think, brother?
Most certainly. I mean, you can definitely point that out as well, because 2RGR this time around, they were able to get certain placement points, but the eliminations, the 9 eliminations that they were able to confirm for themselves, definitely help in their cause. But they do need to have those sort of gameplays again and again consistently to be a part of the top 8. Alongside that, we did talk a little bit about Paradox, because of the way that the zone favored them. They were able to get decent amount of points for themselves. 7 eliminations is what Paradox walked away with, so they jump away, and they are now on the 15th position with 35 points. But still quite a big difference between them and that 9th position. And to get into the top 8 itself, it is not going to be an easy ride for the side of these teams, because only 6 games remaining. We've got 1 final game for today, which is going to be on Erangel, the final game, and after that 5 games tomorrow, which will seal the fate for the top 8.
Definitely, the comeback has been real for a lot of teams, but hasn't moved an inch. I'm talking about Seal9, Gremlin Storms, Paradox, the Gangsters. Really want. Just imagine the sort of competition if they start putting up. The top 8 looks pretty good, with 66 points of Venom Legends and 65 for ElementriX. Not a lot of difference. So by this end of today's gameplay, when the Erangel steps in and when the Erangel finishes up, if you remember, Savage Esports dominate this game. So you better be prepared. DRS Gaming has also been not a good game in the last 2 games. So I expect really for the top 3 teams to just go all guns blazing. But where is the aggression coming in? Paradox really try hard. that has been shown. They show the meticulous gameplay coming in, but that just doesn't happen for them. I don't really know where they lag, but yes, that has been the case. The first couple of matches we were really not getting to see. They were looking pretty clueless, but in this last game itself, they had a clue. They had some sort of plan, but it's just that the gun power is not enough for them to sustain this pretty ruthless lobby, because that's so merciless. You have pretty much players coming in from Bangladesh, Nepal, everyone just eyeing the top 8 slot for the PMPL.
Exactly, dude, and that is what makes the journey that much more of a grind, because again, you want to be able to bring in the best of the best in these tournaments. With that, let's move on along and have a look at the schedule, where we've got 4 games done, one final game of the day, where we are going to be setting in to Erangel.
Oh, definitely. The Erangel will be live, and the producer has given us a call. There we have it. The flight path has already been loaded in. The pilot and the co-pilot are always ready for all of you to take a ride onto this game of Erangel, and there we have it. The Georgia Pool, the hill is looking pretty nice and tight. And again, the flight path that just had a small little angle from the area of shooting range. Pretty much the same, I guess, that we have gotten to see in the very first game of Erangel, where eastern side cities like Lipovka, Yasnaya Polyana were far-fetched. And in that sort of situation, Savage Esports had some real bad time with Gangsters.
Well, that is true, mate. That is so true. But today's final game, I'm anticipating quite a lot of ruckus, because again, you talk about the games that we've seen today, the teams are taking it slow. I mean, even on a map of Sanhok, the game resulted in almost about 28-minute mark. So the teams are taking it slow because they do know what's on the line, what's on the stake, and that is what makes it that much more of a difficult prediction, basically, as to which team is going to be coming up on top. I mean, we spoke about how Savage was not looking in their element, and then in the previous game, they came back stronger and got a chicken dinner, not only that, right? And moved all the way up to the first position. We did see 2RGR not having a good start, and then the previous game, we saw them walk away with 9 defeats and, of course, the placement points. So it is going to be a pretty interesting final game today, where indeed, again, you talk about Paradox as well. So Paradox, the first few games, they were just all over the place because of how the rotations were not just working for them and everything. But then you move on to Sanhok, the zone was favoring them, and they just came online and showcased that, yep, we can definitely get some defeats for our team, and we can definitely take on these players. So yeah, a tough prediction is in store for this final game. But as soon as we talk about that, seems like the first blood is not going to be that far away, where JyanMaara's players are going to be pushing on through to the players of XBROTHERS, and Dominic is the man who's going to be in the crosshairs on the run against the players of course, JyanMaara.
He's trying to run. He's trying to just save his life out of it. Fazal is the one, but how would you do that? 3 players on the face of it. Dominic goes down. Fazal was the one supposedly to give the cover fire, but he fails to do that. But the trade knock has been given in by him itself. Sorry for that. The trade knock has been made. That brings and that means that both the team now has a time for regroup them. But seems like Gunner knows that it's just the 2 players of XBROTHERS. That means that they're still pretty much down on the numbers. And as soon as everything goes in, I guess this should be the time for JyanMaara even to disengage.
Well, we shall see if that will be the case or not, because again, JyanMaara have had a very aggressive gameplay is what they've showcased. I mean, every single game that we've seen from the side of JyanMaara has definitely been an aggressive stance from their side. But again, as you so perfectly mentioned, that here you want to be able to play your cards right. Every single game counts, and that is something that I'm sure JyanMaara also understands, and that is the reason why it seems like they are going to be falling back. So a perfect approach being showcased from their side, and that definitely works in their favor. Just the first 3 minutes itself, and that is a good approach to be a part of when you know what is on the stake. Again, I mean, we're part of PMPL qualifiers, so qualifiers being the crucial word itself does mean you want to be in the top 8, and well, the players are definitely trying to work towards that. XBROTHERS as well as JyanMaara. Now, XBROTHERS, we've spoken about XBROTHERS from day one itself as to how low-key they play. I mean, they don't over-aggress, definitely not. They try and keep it simple and plain in terms of their rotations as well, but whenever it comes to taking that aggression and heat up, they are well equipped and ready to do just that. So again, a very, very wonderful team, but the competition is definitely getting fiercer. So every single game you want to bring in your best to be able to maintain yourself in the top 8 position.
Exactly. But have a keen look at the map. I don't really know what sort of fantasy does Kings of BD has with the extreme position. If you remember Campo Militar, no one loves to jump towards the area in the map of Miramar. They did.
Yep, they
Zerki,
did.
not a place to jump by the sort of map that we have. It's hardly 1 out of 100 times it's when the circle is anywhere close to where Zerki City it is, and Kings of BD again does. So one pretty quick assessment, they don't like to have any sort of fight in the very first half of the game, but then it's their game. Kings of BD still on the 11th total position with 55 total points. So these longer rotation has certainly not been helping all these case. And one basic thing that you need to have in this lobby, you have to be very fierce, as you just mentioned, with your gun power. And in that, Kings of BD along with the Paradox has been certainly lacking.
Indeed, indeed. With that, as we move from one team to the next, we do have the Gangsters setting themselves up towards the Severny region. No team around in the vicinity, so very comfortable position for the side of that team. And again, a fanned out approach being showcased from their side. Again, a comfortable drop location that is of course being showcased from the side of Savage Esports on towards the side of Yasnaya Polyana, where they do love to go every single time on towards the eastern flank towards Milta. Vavo, we do have the side of the Sri Lankan team, Noob Alliance. Again, absolutely comfortable position. So what I'm trying to phase out in all of this conversation is the fact that all these teams, they now understand each other's locations on Erangel, and they are playing a very passive approach in the first few minutes of the game, or rather the first few zones perhaps also of the game.
Exactly, and they are just pretty much cautious of where they are landing, where they are heading towards, where they are just finding themselves into. And with that being said, these sort of central shifts tends to, obviously, 99%, 90%, it has a chance to move on to the Northern Island. I'll be pretty much cautious to see what sort of movement CL Esports would love to do, because by now we have only seen them traversing from the military base bridge. They need to try something new, because all these strats have been just the strat. It hasn't been working for them. So why not try something new? Maybe just go with those Navurupnoy bridges, find some potential finish points, and if they gain some momentum out there, who knows, they might just excel in next few matches.
That is a true approach indeed, because you want to be able to switch up your game on the fly to be able to, not, if one strat is not working, then you want to be able to switch things around. And that is something that so perfectly has been mentioned by you, that very well could be something that C9 could try. But one thing I have to point out is that whenever it comes to the rotations as well, they're able to do it. Even though they end up going for those late rotations, they end up finding themselves in those zones. In the fourth zone as well, they're absolutely fine over there. But somewhere along the line, it's the aggressive stance that I do want to point out for C9 as well. That seems to be a bit non-consistent. It's a little bit of an inconsistency that we're seeing from their side. Because again, Monkey and the likes, these dudes, they are firepower. They are hungry for those elimination points, is what we've seen in the past. But this time around, that is exactly the opposite that we are seeing and witnessing from the side of CL9. So not entirely sure what could be the reason for that, but hopefully this game they bring in that change, because they are on the 15th position, not looking too good. 14-15 position for S9.
Definitely. Not only that, Gremlin Storm still stuck in the bottom, just not able to lift themselves up and live up to the expectations, fans' expectation itself. Gremlin Storm has been in the competitive scene for a long time, and just imagine them missing out in the top 8. A lot of Bangladeshi teams and fans will be completely having their hopes set upon them. But for the moment, one team that has been living up to their expectation, and that is of Noob Alliance. Anyways, they have slipped down out of top 8. They are at 12th position, 52 total points, but the difference that they have actually created, not intentionally, is not so much. So that can be pretty much quickly covered up in a game or two. If they end today's gameplay pretty well, that can be the case. They're still the team with still a chicken on the bottom half of the chart. That's not a really good stats to have. That's not a really good stat to have. Bottom half of the chart, one chicken, that shows the inconsistency, and you need not to throw onto the face of it. But with that being said, DRS Gaming are also pretty quick in the rotation. Observers being pretty generous on us, showing us the map. This pretty little shift. Everyone, I guess, in the circle, apart from certain players from TRZ, those who love to make a later rotation. I guess I'm not wrong if still a TRZ's player are out of this circle. The circle certainly might just go towards on the western side of Shelter, between Shelter Pochinki. But centering Pochinki, the circle has made a shift. Now the game of 7C increases. On the western side, you have Venom Legends. Potato Hill is where Venom Legend gets the contestation going in. And this is a team that loves to have the contestation going on around all these areas.
Absolutely, but on the back angles from where they are at, Venom Legends, we've got XBROTHERS joining in, as well as, of course, Savage and DRS as well. So quite a lot of hodgepodge being created around the vicinity, and 7C are also taking on a fight against the rotation that is being made with the team in the blue, and that is, well, we'll see what team that is going to be. It seems like ElementriX is the one that is going to be the one in the crosses of 7C, and now is finally the moment that fights are erupting. 10 minutes into the game, and definitely a few shots are being taken across the board from one team to the next as the rotations are being made, and in doing so, it seems like Gremlin Storm's evil eye has had too much of damage, and in doing so, he is going to be brought down. ElementriX to Huzo. Mr. Huzo is going to be able to confirm that elimination and get that
Doom
confirmed point for himself.
Doom actually gets that. He gets the run over. A kill steal already been done, and the way he's actually loitering around, roaming around the buggy seems like a walk in the park for WGNRC. ElementriX might be banging their head upon. Need to get all these points racked up because there is a tough contestation. ElementriX out of the top 8 before this game started, and if you remember, ElementriX were pretty sitting tightly on the 5th and 6th position. The way the bottom teams have actually pressed all these teams, pressure is literally mounting on each and every team. No one is safe. No one is safe from 5th to 11. We cannot guarantee anyone that yes, this team might be just cruising through. It's just the prowess that the rest of the lobby comes in.
Absolutely, and that is something that, well, all the teams that are playing right now, they have once basically, you know, in the entire games that we've seen, they have showcased some beautiful plays. I mean, you talk about Noob, you talk about XBROTHERS, DRS Esports, who've been so consistent. DRS definitely having some incredible plays from one game to the next. Savage Esports as well as others. I mean, the teams, Venom Legends again, I mean, one of the teams that has been glued for such a long time on that 8th spot. So what I'm trying to say is that all these teams, they are now getting comfortable in this lobby, and now the only trouble is the zone. Like, you want to be able to, the rotation and the zone. The zone will define the kind of rotation you'll be making, and that is also going to be defined by if you know your opponents, because if you know your opponents and their positioning, then you can have a safe rotation. If not, you will definitely be caught off guard, like we just saw the players brought on down, and Noob taking that taking that elimination point, that first blood.
They did. They definitely did. But 7C's Esports, TRZ just came close, but some shots were being thrown down onto the face of it, and realizing the threat, TRZ just backed away. TRZ completely showing what sort of fight they need to take, they want to take. Don't go for those unnecessary fights if you have the option to opt out for the compound, because still the zone still offers you a lot of compound. But as soon as the circle goes away from all these teams, I have a very hard feeling this might just be the hard shift, and that means there we have it, the southern shift. Dead smack center we have NRC. Pochinki, 50% of Pochinki is still into the zone, but I don't think so that this circle might end up in Pochinki. 7C's, NRC, and other players, other teams have real good chance, but I'm really liking the position at where NRC are standing at this moment. I'm really having a very hard feeling that the circle might just tilt away with certain next shifts.
Ooh, let's hope that don't happen. But right now, as we move on into the game with 16 teams, 62 players alive, it is going to be WGNRC, which in the previous game were able to walk away with just one single point. This time around, they've got their crosshairs set up on towards the players of JyanMaara, who are out in the open. And of course, Amir, once again, the dude with a DP, setting himself up against the players of course, JyanMaara, is trying to get those elimination points. And in the comfort of the compound, will definitely have the defense working for him as well. But seems like for now they are switching gears a little bit, the side of WGNRC, as there's a little bit of communication to get into one single compound from the looks of it, and then hold the fort and fortify it.
Definitely, JyanMaara's player has already spotted down. Many tap shots are being thrown down. Meanwhile, Doom has been completely pulled down to 20 HP, and far away we just got to see in the kill feed, Savage Esports player are slowly and steadily chiming in to get a lot of kill point numbers. We still have 62 players, mind you, Blotter. We still have 62 players, 14 minutes into the game, and this was the lull that we were all talking about. This is the fear of missing out. I would rather say just not to find yourself in any aggressive position from where you can just be punished to a very bad situation. Savage Esports pretty close to where DRS are positioned. From the backhand side, we know they love to go towards the area of Yasnaya Polyana, and they know that some team is really actually positioned at this point. With Rules and Rebel at one point, Ligro is just making a push. He knows that someone is out there and has been completely taken off guard. But there we have it, a complete squad coming in. One player has been knocked down. Now it comes down to how fastly they wipe this squad off, else they just might get a lot of cover fire from the top ridge.
Absolutely, because right now it is going to be DRS that Savage Esports are trying to take on, and it's going to be Hershey who's in the back lines trying to give that flank angle approach, but it seems like DRS's perfectly set up nade parade is definitely not going to be helping the cause for the side of Savage Esports, who got the previous game's chicken dinner on Sanhok, but this time around the approach that they had is not going to be working in their favor. I mean, mind you, Savage Esports definitely did get a knock on to DRS, so their push was definitely on point, because that is what the game teaches you.
Wrecking havoc for Savage Esports.
Wow. Again, I mean, DRS, you do not, and especially with the previous game, Savage jumping up onto that first position, the overall ranking, DRS will definitely not want that. They want that revenge. They want to be able to stick to that first position in the overall rankings, and I think with this sort of a play style, they might just be able to do that from this final game.
The poor Hershey. Just the lone man standing for Savage Esports. Just the two players. Rules and Delta completely ripped it off for Savage Esports. From the right hand side, yes, they tried to have a broken US, a blown up US as a cover, as a potential cover, but that really didn't happen. The grenade just came in and there was just not enough amount of smoke. Just the two smoke just to flush out the area, but the grenade was just spot on. That was just properly cooked, and DRS, they are just not over-aggressing. Even if they know that there is one player that just escaped this death, they are just not pushing it because they feel like this is the comfortable spot. Why to push? Let everyone push. We are winning the fight.
Exactly, because again, I mean, mind you, we're almost in the 17-minute marker, but there are 16 teams, all 16 teams still alive. So a lot can go wrong if you try and make a push that early into the game, because you only have 1 or 2 elimination points. And if the push goes bad, then you won't even get any placement points. So the teams, they definitely are playing a very, very passive approach in these games. And DRS in the kill zone coming in, Killer YT taking on the fight. And along with that, it is Noob Alliance's player, due to the blue zone being caught out and, well, sent back.
Exactly, but let's just have a look at this fight. On the edges, Potato Hill is now where Venom Legends are trying to relinquish and vanquish. Right hand side, Gangsters has been spotted down, but in the near vicinity, they need to realize that there is a potential threat, a probable fight that we might expect Venom Legends going up against XBROTHERS, but it seems like no of the done player from the sides of Venom Legends are interested in making a fight. Anyways, there is no threat for the moment for them from the sides of XBROTHERS. One good thing for Venom Legend is that they are having their individual vehicles, but far away we are getting to see Kings of BD. So Bangladeshi teams, out of nowhere, after the 17-minute marker hit up, they are coming up into the fight. 7C's Precious going down with TRZ's players coming in. Gremlin Storm finally picking up their DP in their hand, and Tiger Shipu going down. Kings of BD getting a lot of backlash. JyanMaara coming up into the fight. Sishti going down everywhere. The fight is just coming up, and this is the point where the fourth zone and the fifth zone comes in. So this is everything been done for maybe for a compound, maybe for a better position, and in that certain teams are really perishing down.
Absolutely, because right here we do see Venom Legends, an aggressive team, take in a non-aggressive stance right here, where they do know that their opponents are so very close and they are in the name of XBROTHERS, but both the teams are taking a very lull approach in this. On the other front of the game, TRZ taking a fight to the face of 7C, and 7C are definitely feeling the pain right now because Precious has been brought down, and it is going to be Memo also being brought down thanks to rare FPS. So in the far off distance, we also did see Paradox were also quite in the vicinity of 7C, so a third party could be anticipated from their side as well. As of now, the knocks have been given from the 7C to TRZ, but elimination points are yet not being delivered. So this is definitely not helping out TRZ, but at least they know where their opponents are. And in that 15th position, Savage Esports get eliminated. DRS is going to be very, very happy.
Definitely, they now have a very clear shy. Before the match started, if you remember, there was just 13-point difference between them and Savage Esports. C9 Esports pretty much close to where TRZ are there. This grid can just be the detrimental one. If they get connection, TRZ can be well 6 feet down in these grounds. The grid makes a connection, Mad Cat going down, and now C9 Esports pretty saying no to this fight and completely going into zone. A very good approach coming up into the fight. But far away, we still have Venom Legends and XBROTHERS finally making a fight. Finally, after just scouting out the areas, just locking their horns, watching into their eyes, now they're like, yes, we are finally back in the fight.
They are still playing so passive. Look at Steel Shot. He's so close to the players of XBROTHERS, but he has still not given away his position, as XBROTHERS are still not aware. And as soon as they take on a fight from the other angle, it is going to be Steel Shot bringing in that lead to the face of XBROTHERS. One by one, he's going to bring them down. Two players already knocked. Now he's going to be moving on towards the positioning of Dominic. He did see him, but he did not see him. I'm not entirely sure what happened to that. But eventually, of course, it is going to be Venom Legends making that push count. And in doing so, in just a matter of 30 seconds, the team of XBROTHERS have been eliminated. 3 defeats, 3 elimination points given to the players of Venom Legends. And now it is time to jump into the zone where the players of the Gangsters in the yellow we can see in the minimap are waiting eagerly and patiently for all these teams to jump into the arena with them.
Venom Legends taking down DRS player. They're just not done eliminating XBROTHERS. They are hunting down the players. C9 Esports also on the crosshair of the most awaited game from the sides of Paradox. This can just be the game that they were waiting for. G1 gets one more knock onto Monkey. Has gone down. C9 Esports completely on a back foot. I love the way the Paradox team is actually happening this time. The grenade pretty much close to where Paradox player are there. They need to be aware that still one player left in the vicinity. Just why not eliminate this player and then we'll be all safe.
Absolutely, that is what they are working towards. They've already got 3 eliminations confirmed from the side of Paradox, and Seal 9 is the team that they are trying to bring down slowly but surely. So, big approach being showcased and aggression being showcased from the side of Paradox. But here we talk about the Gangsters. Look at that mini-map. It is all theirs for the taking. The game is theirs for the taking. And Ayush, with that DP spray control, bringing in a lot of damaging blows to the players of 7C who are in the open, and Paradox's players are going to be a part of this fight as well, because eventually 7C are going to have to reach this dip where Paradox are in, and as soon as they do, either it's going to be Seal 9's final player or Paradox who will get the better half of that fight. But 7C have the numbers advantage because it is the 3-man army from 7C, whereas only Paradox's 2 players who are stuck in that small little ditch.
There is center lines of Circle. The Circle made a shift, granting completely in the lap of Paradox. They just need to play to perfection. A knock also coming in. Gangsters having a complete cheeky angle into all these fights. But still Zaki surviving. I don't know how, but yes, that's the thing. That's the beauty of this game, and that's the beauty of Zaki from the sides of Seal 9. He's still surviving. And until unless he is taken away, Paradox cannot just feel safe for themselves.
That is true. Mr. Smokey right here with the DP is in a very interesting position because he can be caught off from so many different angles as he's on top of that hut and compound, but as of now he seems to be playing it safe. Mr. Smokey is definitely keeping that smoke wall up and taking on a lot of blows to their opponent teams on the other front as we move on to Paradox's aggressive approach in this game. This is looking phenomenal from their side as they are hunkering down on players, getting the information. They've got a 2-man split from the looks of it. The ditch is definitely working in this team's favor, but right across the board in that compound is going to be the Gangsters, and the Gangsters need to be brought down quickly if Paradox wants to get a few more eliminations and maybe even the game and a chicken dinner for themselves.
Exactly. Gangsters still have the edges of the circle, but all they can do is just have and rack up a lot of finish point. But what we see by the looks of it, Smokey still has an 80. 37 bullet in his DP. He needs to reload it. Need to get again to 48. 47 to be more precise. Smokey in front of him. He has a lot of info. He has the best and the most number of infos, a huge amount of info that anybody has in this lobby. But can he get onto all these infos? Can he work upon onto it? He spots the head of G1. He gets a lot of shots onto his head, but still not enough to take him down. That should have been the knock. That should have been that knock.
Paradox has gotten lucky twice or thrice already, I've seen. I mean, they've got their health all the way down to 2 to 5 HP and still being able to survive. And with that, it is going to be Paradox's ego taken on a blow to the face of Venom Legends. For now, it is going to be Hazer also bringing in, and along with that, a cherry on top is going to be from the PUBG gods as Paradox get an airdrop right in their laps. So this is a GG play for Paradox if they're able to deliver this in style and take down the Gangsters, because the Gangsters are the biggest trouble and threat that Paradox are facing right now.
Exactly. It seems like everyone, the fortune is just aligning. The fortune is just aligning brilliantly for Paradox if they miss this out, this chicken. Because this is the comeback game for them, right? This is the last game for today. Tomorrow we'll have 5 games at the end of the day. Top 8 will be aggressing out of all these 16s. And in that being said, Paradox gets one knock. Finish gets to some different teams. Smokey is the one, and Gangsters, yes, they're playing their card well. Again, a circle shift. Paradox in the dead smack center. Zaki is still surviving. 10 teams, 10 players, 4 teams still alive in the lobby, with Gangsters still all 4 players alive. Blah blah blah. Ayush, Utsurga and Smokey still in the vicinity, and the heads are being again popped out. I don't really know why Zaki is still not gone down. Look how far Zaki has taken his fight away and his team away. It was, I guess, 8-10 teams were everyone out there, and Zaki was the only one around all this vicinity, lone by himself, and he has got a lot of placement pointers himself. And both these teams onto the bottom of the chart have played it to real perfection, be it be Paradox or be it be Seal9.
Well. Now this team of the Gangsters are going to have to push on along. Mr. Smokey has a lot of information that has been taken on top of that roof, but now he has to utilize that information out in the open against the players of Paradox, and Paradox have the advantage because they've got those perfect dips working in that favor. But as you so perfectly said, Zaki is still alive. Paradox know that there is a player. They knew earlier also that there was a player behind them, and they have still not taken action against that. And that is where, if Zaki brings in some perfectly set up nade parades, this can be troublesome situation for the side of Paradox, because, well, Paradox are really fanned out and spread out. We've got Goldie on one side, G1 playing it too far ahead. Hazer finally completing the blow, and Zaki has been eliminated. Thus, we've got 3 teams remaining, and in that, 7C still has only 1 player surviving. So the main focus is going to be between Paradox and the Gangsters.
Definitely, but in meanwhile, Akujat still surviving. All the 4 players are still charging in Paradox. You better be prepared because it's Gangsters coming in. What grenade takes down one. Goldie, Utsurga, the fight is going in. Goldie again goes down. Smokey is the one, but Goldie from Paradox has finally been pulled down. It's all up to Ego and Hazer. Gangster were the ones that made a push out of openness situation. Smokey gets to go for the revival in the small little smoke, and that can just be the moment, the wrong call for them. You need to pop out the smoke because info is being passed down. Just get all these finished properly for yourself. This grenade can just do it for them.
Absolutely can, because this is just a perfectly set up Molotov, and of course that is going to bring in a lot of damage to Hazer. Hazer has been eliminated. This is going to be the end of Paradox with 6 defeats. But dude, what a play that was. Along with that, now Akujot, the one flying player remaining from the side of 7C, will of course not be able to survive for long because the Gangsters have taken the reign in this game, and with that they've got the chicken dinner. And again, had Paradox brought in a little bit more of an aggressive stance against the compound that the Gangsters were stuck in, they could have definitely taken this game. But a GG approach from the Gangsters, and well, the circle also favored them, moved away from them. They still pushed on out in the open and converted that into a chicken dinner, a beautiful chicken dinner with 8 eliminations and 23 total points.
Total damage of 2004 in the favor, 8 elimination, 23 total points. What a game for the Gangsters.
Yep.
We talk about comeback. It started with Alliance. The day started with Alliance, and the day ended with the Gangsters. That's the storyline for us, and what a beautiful day itself. But Paradox, I really have some questions being raised for their side. There was a lot of opportunity for them. They could have eliminated Zaki beforehand. That could have given a lot of opportunity for them to have a big spread. Also provided there was one more player on the backhand side from the 7C, that was Akujot. We'll talk more about it, but for the moment, let's head toward the most valuable player for this match. The hero is none other than Steel Shot from the sides of Venom Legends. 7 elimination, 1073 damage, survival time of 23 minutes and 10 seconds. 2 assists done and just 166 healing done, and in that, Venom Legends completely engulfed XBROTHERS.
They most certainly did. An amazing play being showcased from the side of Steel Shot, of course, throughout the entirety of the day is in fact what I would say. With that, let's move on and have a look at the top players along with Venom Legends, Steel Shot. Who else were there who need to stand out from this game? And we've got the Gangsters players chiming in along with blah 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 rules. I mean, with Smokey, we saw them in action. They were just fantabulous in terms of the way that they were playing. And the real soldiers, maybe they're going to be jumping up to the first position. We'll have to see.
Definitely. Savage Esports this time, not the way they were expected to perform. But then we have the summary rolling up for you. That will be completely showing what sort of damage was dealt in this match, what sort of healing was done. So
wow,
close to a 7,000 healing done, and in that I guess at least 500 at least. Keep it for Paradox, because the way they were being hunted down from different directions, especially for Gangsters, they were the one patching themselves up. 64 total knocks, 58 eliminations, longest distance elimination again for this time 257 meter atomic, 7 grenade elimination. This is something that is highest for today.
Yes. Definitely is, and that is something that is not easy to achieve, of course, because you talk about grenade eliminations. I mean, you do see a lot of knocks coming in from grenades, but then to be able to confirm them into an elimination itself and get that point is not easy. But 7 in one single game is quite a GG mark from the entirety of the lobby. With that, let's move on and have a look at the match ranking coming in from this final game, and this is where DE Gangsters take a chicken dinner. So again, to point out, yesterday we saw Savage, Venom, DRS taking chicken dinners, but today it has been a complete turnaround where different teams have been taking chicken dinners, which is a really good thing. Really good thing. Yep.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of this game. I mean, we started days off with Noob Alliance, then we went down to XBROTHERS, TRZ, and this time, I mean, the last game itself, it was Savage Esports, and this time it was Gangsters. This is looking pretty good for the moment, but 9-16 is where we'll get to see a lot of team getting a lesser point to what the other team were able to secure more. To RGR Esports, just the 4. At least one good thing from this match, no one left bare hand.
Well, that is true. But I was just about to point out that on the first page, 7C Esports, Akujor, the final player who moved on to the who brought his team to the second position in that game, right? They walked away with 1 elimination, but 12 placement points. In the previous game, they walked away with 0 eliminations, 10 placement points. So let's move on and have a look at that storyboard. And this is how 7C is able to keep a rain check on that top 8 position to be able to qualify. So let's move on along. And of course, let's have a look at the storyboard, which is going to be confirming if DRS have moved on along. Not yet. They are still 7 points shy to move into that first position. But on that 6th spot, 7C Esports looking pretty comfortable. 60 placement points and only 20 eliminations.
That's
wow.
the way they play.
Wow.
But I mean, that's the beauty. You have to be in the top 8. No matter what ratio you have, it's 3:1 the placement, and for elimination, thrice they have accumulated, and just the second highest. 61 is for Savage Esports, and then for any team that is standing on the 6th position, this is unbelievable. But we'll get to see what sort of difference has been created from 9-16 if we roll over this chart. So 71 we have ElementriX and the Gangsters. 67, not a lot of difference. 2RGR also in contention. So now we have 2 teams from 9-16. They still have a chicken, but still missing up the mark for the top 8.
Absolutely, dude. But in all of this, I do want to point out, I mean, yesterday's comeback story definitely was a different one, but today we have a different story altogether. Yesterday we spoke about 2RGR Esports in the final 2 games, bringing a comeback story from their side, and today we have to mention Paradox. In the previous 2 games, this team has definitely rose up to the occasion quite decently, but they need to bring that sort of a play style tomorrow in every single game if they want to be able to qualify.
Definitely, they have to do that. But for the moment, let's head just to the elimination leaders. Those who have got a lot of finish point in their name. Who has been the most aggressive one? Again, it's Hershey, still living up to his name and just not letting anyone step up to this mark. 30 elimination is where he stands at this moment. 22 for Soulless from JyanMaara. Venom Legends, Steel Shot 21, Rules 18. And everyone has been doing good, but the damage that Rule has gotten for himself, is even more what Hershey has by standing after eliminating 30 players.
Absolutely. Again, I mean, that is the real soldiers game, right? I mean, that is what they do the best. And of course, that is the reason why Rules OG is right here with that crazy amount of damage that he's been able to accumulate in the 10 games that have been played. And now we've got 5 games remaining. With the first 2 positions that are held on between DRS and Savage, we can definitely say that in the 5 games tomorrow, even if they play bad, they are definitely going to be able to qualify. But from that 5th position all the way down to the 10th, 12th position, there's still a heavy contestation because the points difference isn't really that much. So we've seen, like in the previous game, Paradox got a good elimination points for themselves. In this game, they walked away with 16 total points. So you keep on bringing that sort of a game every single match that you play, that sort of points in every single match that you play. It's possible to jump into the top 8 tomorrow as well.
Definitely, you talk about the difference. There's just the 4-point difference between somewhere down the line, ElementriX 671 and 7C's 67. Right. And at also 67, we got to see the Gangsters. So just 4-point difference with 1 chicken for 2 RGR, also looking pretty good for RGR. But when we come tomorrow, there's going to be a lot on the stake. But before we end this out, do you have any finishing statement for us, Bloda?
Dude, all I can say is that the 3-day saga that we're part of is almost in its final round, right? We've got 10 games done, 5 games remain, so super duper excited what it's going to be. But of course, I do want to ask all the fans to support the teams and of course let them know on Instagram and all the social media networks that you're there supporting them, watching them streams. And yeah, GG, I am definitely loving this. Certainly hope you guys are too.
I guess that's well said by Bloda. But with that being said, we are done with all the 5 matches, but that's not just done. We still have 5 matches left. But before we jump into tomorrow's action, it's time for us to leave. Goodbye, take care, and bye-bye.
Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now.